a record number of race winners, and a record number of first-time winners. 2006 will go down as one of the most competitive seasons in ARCA Re Series competition. Today, Frank Kimmel will lock up an unprecedented 8 Series title. But there's still a number of drivers who want a W next to their name in the record book. This is their final shot, the last race of the season. It's on a short track, and it starts right now.
Welcome, everyone, to the ARCA Re Iowa 250. We're at the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. And let me just tell you, it is a cold fall day here in Iowa. 52 degrees, the temperature, wind chill probably in the low 30s. But that temperature cannot cool off our 2006 champion. Frank Kimmel wins again. And Don Radebaugh is standing by with him.
Thanks, Rick. You know, from some of the most challenging short tracks in America to the finest super speedways with some dirt tracks in between, it's very hard to be an ARCA Re Series national champion, let alone an 8-time champion. Congratulations, Frank Kimmel. Knowing you've clinched the title going into today's race, are you going to be a little more assertive in the seat this afternoon?
I don't know, Don. I've kind of done the same thing all my life, so I think we're going to go out here and see what this Ford Fusion's got for him and hopefully keep it up near the front.
All right, we know Frank Kimmel can get the job. Remember, he's busting down another record, getting close to Iggy Katona's all-time win mark of 79. Kimmel has 68 victories going into today's race. Gentlemen.
And he's got a few wins on short tracks, and we are at another short track. We finish out the 2006 season. This is the 23rd race of the season for the ARCA Re Series, and a great facility to close out this season. Let's go trackside for today's invocation.
Do what we do here without so many people helping us, and of course the Team 316 Ministries are among those. Pastor Joseph Cards of Team 316 Ministries, our official chaplains here at Iowa Speedway, will deliver our invocation this afternoon. Pastor Scarge.
Thank you, Craig. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, great and mighty God, we have been so blessed by your grace. Today we will witness a mighty display of horsepower and God-given talent. Lord, we ask that you safely protect and bless every team, driver, fan, man, woman, and child that is here today and across this great nation, and the soldiers that protect her, for which this country, flag, and democracy stands. In God we trust, in Christ we trust, in you we trust. Amen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem. To bring it to us today, we are very privileged to introduce country superstars who will be with us later this afternoon on our post-race concert. Curb Asylum recording artists here for the... Let us hear it for Trick Pony.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We see the F-16s from the Iowa National Guard, 134th Fighter Wing, flying over the Iowa Speedway. And the guy who's going to be flying around this 7/8 mile is Juan Pablo Montoya. Wendy Venerini.
last week at Talladega was the stock car racing debut for Juan. Of course, he came home third, but he said last week anyone can race Talladega. Here at Iowa Speedway, you have to use a little bit more braking and you have to have a little bit more driver control. Now, Juan, we know the temperatures are a little bit colder than what you're used to racing. How do you think you're going to handle Iowa Speedway today?
I think, you know, the Texaco Havoline Dutch has been really good to me all weekend, and it's been really good over testing and everything. I think we've got a good car, and, you know, the main goal is to learn. We're here to learn, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Juan Pablo did qualify third for this race, and guess what, folks? He's headed to warmer weather this week for an official Cup test at Homestead on Tuesday. Rick?
Well, thank you, Wendy, and hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside Dan Pardis, and it is a cold day here at a new racetrack. Dan, we were at Talladega a week ago, and now a short track here in Iowa.
Cold it is, but what a state-of-the-art facility. Rusty Wallace having a lot to do with the construction of this place. All positive feedback from the drivers, good transition down in the corners. Drivers could not say enough about this place, so I think it's going to make for a superior race here today at Iowa.
Well, Juan made the comment that he's learning. I think his learning curve has been accelerated a little bit here in the ARCA series. Let's go down for today's command.
Tom Flynn. Drivers, start your engine.
Engines are fired up. The car's about to roll onto this new facility. We're about to get underway with short track racing from Iowa. And what short track racing means to the ARCA Re-Max series? Well, it means a lot of hard work and a lot of bumping and banging will take place today. But the trophy is in the car, the 46 for the series champion.
In comparison, really nothing on the circuit. I would say it's a big Richmond. We worked very hard on the contours, on entry and exit. Really want to make it so cars can pass on the racetrack. I never was a believer in conventional banking anywhere at a racetrack. You hear the arrow push, and nobody can seem to pass. But at this racetrack, we got more lanes to pass on. We got long transitions, and so far, I got my fingers crossed, everybody's loved it.
Nice job done by you, Rusty. And of course, we're going to look for Stephen Wallace, his son, who's starting from the pole. He's got to have some experience around here. His dad helped design the track. Rick?
Thank you, Wendy. Other than the cold, I think it has been all smiles. Let's take a look at our Re-Max starting grid. On the pole for the 4th time this season, Steve Wallace, and outside of him, 5-time winner of the ARCA Re-Max series, Joey Miller.
Juan Montoya starting on inside second row. Just a super performance him at Talladega Super Speedway to break into the stock car series.
Starting 4th and 5th, Ryan Foster just in front of Blake Bjorklund, but in the Rookie of the Year standing is Blake Bjorklund that's in front of Ryan Foster.
Yeah, them guys have been neck and neck all year. They're right, you know, they've been really, both of them have stepped their program up. Ryan Foster's been running so strong, had some problems through the year, monkey on his back, but them guys have been a tremendous rookie battle this year. Starting
13th, Craig Kinzer will make his 3rd start in the ARCA Re-Max series. He has a win in just his 2nd start at Talladega back in 05. Dexter Bean, the fastest in practice yesterday, but qualified a little bit further back in row 10.
See Brian Refner there in row 12, competitor in the truck series. First ARCA Re-Max series start, so look for a good run here for today.
Bobby Gerhart, row 15, he will finish 2nd in the point standings. Billy Venerini will finish 3rd in the point standings. He starts in row 16. Neither of those can advance or lose their positions that they are in currently.
We see James Hilton, 20th, row 20 there. Just a tremendous year for James, and this will be his farewell race.
54 cars attempted to qualify for this race. That means that 13 have got to go home, and those are the 13 on the list there on your screen.
Yep, cars taking an extra pace lap around this track due to the temperature, the coolness here. They want to make sure these tires get up to heat. You see the drivers scudding them tires and getting some heat in them tires, and also the motors.
Right along with Justin Dirks, he starts 12th. We'll see if he can make it up toward the front.
On board Mario Goslin, great qualifying effort for him, 7th here today, and he said he's got a good race car. He can win this race.
8-time series champion Frank Kimmel will start in the 6th position, and what a great storybook ending it would be if he could win here at Iowa in the first ever race.
There we are. The best place in the house right there, front row. Stephen Wallace, just a really good qualifying effort for him. Really got a hold of the racetrack, talked to him. He's excited about this race. It's an aggressive racetrack, and he's an aggressive driver.
Well, we've seen Steve Wallace find victory lane before, but it hasn't been on one of these short tracks. It's been on one of the super speedways that we've gone to. Can he keep the 61 out in front of the field? We're about to find out. The ARCA Re 250 is underway from Iowa Speedway. Rusty Wallace had mentioned that camera or actually 4 cameras are located in the track, actually in the track surface. We'll take a look at a few of those shots. You saw that shot. There's one going away, going into turn number 3. We're actually on the racing surface with that camera.
State of the art there. There we see Stephen Wallace. Looked like Stephen backed up there on the start rig. Montoya got a run on him, looked underneath, got a run, but Stephen pushed the gas pedal down and shot back to the front.
Stephen Wallace, Juan Pablo Montoya, Ryan Foster, Joey Miller, and Blake Bjorklund, your top 5 as we've completed a lap.
Look at that in car. Look at that shot. That is tremendous. They're right on the racetrack as you see the cars come over. That is state of the art for sure.
Right along with Justin Dirks. Dirks currently being scored in the 11th spot, actually moves up to 10th now and looks as though he's setting his sights on the 2 of Michael McDowell.
Michael McDowell having a tremendous qualifying effort for him too. Road racer.
Juan Pablo Montoya on the inside of Stephen Wallace. It's 2 wide racing as they come out of turn number 4.
Juan looks at the bottom. He's feeling the bottom, and Stephen's got a lot of laps around this place. They hope the second groove will come in a little bit later in the day, and as we get tire rubber down, that second groove comes in, it will get more racier.
Juan Pablo Montoya, his only experience in a stock car, actually in a race a week ago at Talladega. He made the comment, well, I think anybody can drive at Talladega. You just hold it to the floor the whole time. Here is a completely different story.
Yeah, it does. The driver has to drive in, get out of the gas pedal right here, get the car set, get the nose set right here, back in the gas. We're wide open. So it requires feeling the car, getting in, and not overdriving the corners.
The pass is made, and as he gets out in front of Stephen Wallace, smoke coming out of the 32 of Blake Bjorklund. So problems with Blake Bjorklund in that 32. Now this could make that Rookie of the Year battle very interesting. Blake Bjorklund leading the Rookie of the Year contenders going into this. Ryan Foster is second in that points.
I believe a 14-point spread in them too, so that could be an upset here today at Iowa in the rookie runnings.
If there is problems with that 32 and they are not able to resolve them, that could be a very, very disappointing day for Blake Bjorklund. Still out in front, it's Juan Pablo Montoya has taken over the top spot from Stephen Wallace. We're hearing there's a little bit of damage on the right front of the 04 of Brent Sherman. Yep. Yes, definitely the right front. And at a short track, you almost expect something like that to happen.
Yeah, you did. A little valence damage on the right front. Not sure how you would get that. Usually on the left front, you get that by driving down off the apron of the racetrack. Not sure how he got it down there on the right front. Must have gotten the back of somebody's bumper. See Mike Harmon on the inside, passing by Brett.
Looks like the 04 backing up because of that damage. And we see the distance now between Juan Pablo Montoya and the number 4 and the 61 as Juan Pablo Montoya is beginning to lap the cars here on this 7/8 mile track. Beautiful facility. We can't say enough about how nice this facility is. Ryan Foster currently in the 3rd position.
2.3 seconds behind. Again, he knows he needs to get in his groove, get some heat in them tires, get in his rhythm early in the race, and then get a little racy. We're looking at about 50, 60 laps on these tires probably, and then they'll start falling off. So if it stays green, 50 to 60 laps, we would look for pit stops.
Ryan Foster actually changed a motor prior to qualifying yesterday and then went out and posted a better qualifying performance than his team owner. And in now for service, the 32 of Blake Bjorklund. Wendy.
They are a little bit concerned with Blake. Of course, he is running for points, was 4th coming into this race, and he could have a chance of falling back to 5th because of this. They've jacked up the right side. They're going to find out what's wrong with it. It does have a little bit of damage, and we will get back to you as soon as they assess that.
Well, you see a little bit of fluid maybe coming up onto the windshield there. Right behind the 4 and the 61. Don Radebaugh, what's going on with Steven?
Well, Steve's reporting on the radio that he's a little loose, but he likes his car that way. Remember, Rusty tested this car. His father, Rusty, tested this car in the test not too long ago, but Rusty likes a very tight race car, where his son Steve likes it very loose, and that's the way they have the car set up at the moment. They think as more rubber goes down on the track, the track will tighten up on its own, but for now, she's loose.
We just saw the 15 on the inside of the racetrack was slow. That's Joey Miller. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it all the way around. Actually, he's just now pulling onto pit road, and so problems with that number 15. Started second in this race, had a very strong car in practice and qualifying, but something wrong now as he makes his way down pit road. Still holding on to the top spot, Juan Pablo Montoya leading in Iowa. Steve Wallace holding on to second. Foster, Goslin, and Kimmel your top 5. Speed's coverage of the ARCA RE/MAX Series from Iowa is presented by RE/MAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. Brought to you in part by Suzuki, introducing the new Grand Vitara, the authentic SUV. And by SK Hand Tools, the official hand tools of ARCA. And problems with the 61 of Stephen Wallace. We're also seeing problems with the Ford. The 2 front runners in this race, both slow on the racetrack. No caution has come out as of yet. Stephen Wallace looks as though he's got damage to the front of that car.
Yep, looks like they may have gotten together down in the corner there. Damage to the left front of Stephen Wallace's car. The fender down on the tire. Looks
Caution
like to be smoking, and
is now out.
Montoya looks down the end of pit road. Montoya's in on pit road. Trouble early for Juan Montoya.
Well, our 2 front runners, and you take a look at how bad the damage is to the front right of the Haviland Dodge Charger.
Caution is out.
Again, the caution is out.
Juan Montoya down on pit road. Heavy damage to the right front corner of that car. Possibly him and Stephen Wallace getting together.
A lot of damage.
A little bit of wall action there.
To the back of that car also.
Wow, tough break for Juan. Having a good run going there. You know, they gotten into traffic here. We've been lapping cars really heavy, and they were up in that 3rd and 4th groove, so possibly they got it, got up in the wall. Wendy, what you got down there?
Now, of course, I haven't seen any replays, but Juan Montoya has said he thinks he might have misunderstood a call from the spotter, Lauren Rainier. He thought he was calling for the outside. If maybe you guys can watch from the replay up there, there is heavy damage on the right side of Juan Montoya's car.
And that's awful frustrating if you don't understand or maybe didn't hear what your spotter was calling for, especially on a short track. We take another look. Outside is Steve Wallace. Juan just came up the track there.
Yep, not knowing that Stephen was there. Maybe Lauren Rainier, the spotter on that car, called him, to the outside, or not sure what he's seen there. And that's about communication. That's about building a team, Rick. And
yeah,
that
Dan,
comes in time.
Normally what a spotter will say is if someone's coming up on the outside, they'll say outside, outside. Juan may have thought he needs me to go to the outside. And that's just, like you said, communication is a problem, potentially, as we see Stephen Wallace now making his way down. Don?
Well, there's a lot less damage on the 61 car, quite fortunately, as Steve Wallace rolls the hand-screw Dodge to a stop. Got some damage to that left front fender, but not too bad. I believe they can go there and pull away. In the meantime, they'll put right side Hoosier tires on before and now going to work on the left side. Seems to be some miscommunication down here that's taking a little long to get to the left side. They'll finally get here. They've got the hammer out. They're going to beat and bang on the left front fenders. They put 4 new Hoosier skins and filled up with some Sunoco gas too, but this is in no way terminal. This is short track racing as they continue to beat and bang on that $100,000 race car. This is the same race car, by the way, that David Stremme won in, lapped the field in at MIS. We know it's a good machine upstairs.
A little bit of fender damage to the left front there. If they get that fender back off that tire, Rick, you've seen them big pieces of tape. They'll get the tape laid back on that car. He should be okay.
Steve Wallace bringing the car off of pit road. We're under caution, so Steve Wallace will remain on the lead lap at Iowa Speedway. And welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The pace car, as well as another one of the competitors coming off the racetrack. That's Brett Rowe. But out in front of the field, it's Ryan Foster leading this one. Justin Allgaier in the number 16 about to go a lap down unless he can stay in front of the 47 until another caution comes out. He's at the tail end of the lead lap, and now he will go a lap down. Mario Goslin holding on to second, Frank Kimmel third, Brian Reffner and Bobby Santos round out our top 5. And because of the incident between the 4 of Juan Pablo Montoya and the 61 of Stephen Wallace, those 2 were our front runners. They have relegated Ryan Foster now to the front of this field.
Ryan having a little bit of turn. They had a motor go down brake yesterday before qualifying. Luckily, right before qualifying, threw chains that motor, went out and qualified, just had a super qualifying effort, qualified to 4th position there. Crew chief said maybe we got that monkey off our back that we've been fighting all year. So hopefully he can have the rest of the day run like it's running now, and we may see him in victory lane.
And to give you an update on some of the cars that have come off the racetrack, let's go down to Don Radebaugh.
Well, let's start with Joey Miller. A short day for him. Motor broke. He is done for the day. Wendy?
The 32 of Blake Bjorklund had pulled his car behind the wall. The transmission is broken on that machine. They're going to try and change it and get back on the track. He was in 4th place in points coming into the season finale, only 60 points ahead of 5th place. He most likely will lose that spot and possibly the Rookie of the Year title today.
It's very close between Blake Bjorklund and Ryan Foster, and Ryan Foster obviously doing everything he needs to do to win this Rookie of the Year competition, because right now he is leading laps at Iowa Speedway.
Yep, with Blake Bjorklund being out of the race, I mean, this is what he needs to do, and a good consistent top 5 finish possibly would tie that up for him.
What they need, or what they do in the Rookie of the Year competition, they take their top 15 finishes and receive points for those top 15 finishes, and that is the way we determine our Rookie of the Year. And so with Blake Bjorklund out of competition right now, that's going to relegate him way back. Right now he's being scored in 41st. Moving up the most so far in this race has been the 21 of Todd Bowser, moving up 26 spots. Todd Bowser looking for sponsorship to see if they can continue running here in the ARCA Remax Series. That name synonymous with this series. Todd losing his father this year earlier. Problems in the number 42 now. Philip Magilton brings his car onto pit road.
Like a little smoke out of the bottom side of that, possibly a rear end or a transmission.
Going to lift the hood on the number 42, and the second caution of the day has come out. This one probably for debris. No cars are turned around or spun around the racetrack. We're hearing that there is some oil in turn number 2, and so the safety crews will get out there and attend to that. Could have come from the 42 of Philip Magilton as he cruised down, and you see a little bit of fluid coming out from underneath that car on pit road. Ryan Foster out in front of the field. '23rd and final race of the season here from Iowa Speedway. Dexter Bean getting some service done on his number 6 Chevrolet.
Dexter fastest in the last practice before qualifying, just overdrove the corner, which is typical of a racetrack like this. Did not get the qualifying effort, ended up 19th, but good race car. He said he's going to make some adjustments. He believed he could run to the front.
It worked his way up to the 7th position before coming in and having some service done on that Chevy. Just in front of him going off of pit road right now, the 25 of Billy Venerini also having some work done on that car. So those two will make their way back out onto the racetrack. We see Ryan Foster, Mario Goslin, and Frank Kimmel are our top 3. That means that 1st and 3rd are Frank Kimmel-owned vehicles on the final race of the season. And Frank Kimmel with his 8th championship wrapped up as soon as he was able to take one practice lap yesterday around this facility.
Quite an accomplishment in a series like the ARCA Remax Series today. Having so many different series winners in the year. Frank, as we talked about earlier, have only won 4 races in this series this year, and to say only 4 is a lot to a lot of guys, but Frank's usually used to winning, you know, some 8 to 10 races a year, and this year has just been so competitive, Rick, that he has not been able to do so.
Frustrating day for the 4 of Juan Pablo Montoya. We take a look at that car. They're doing a lot of work on it. Wendy, what are they thinking?
There is extensive damage all along the right side of Juan Pablo Montoya's machine. The team is going to work. They put Bear Bond on it. They're trying to get it. Now, of course, Juan's not running for points, so why would he try and get back out there? Well, the point of these ARCA races is to gain experience. So they want to get the car back on the track so Juan Pablo can still get some laps around this speedway and do the ever-important job of gaining experience. Rick?
Wendy. Take another look at what took place. That's Juan Pablo Montoya on the inside, outside up against the wall, the 61 of Steve Wallace. And Juan just came up on him, and miscommunication is what he has mentioned, that didn't understand or maybe didn't hear his spotter letting him know that there was a car on the outside. So those two got into it. Steve Wallace was able to stay on the lead lap, so there hasn't been any problem with that car as far as running well. He is currently scored in the 12th position, but it's Ryan Foster out in front of the field. Mario Gosselin with a win on the season, currently second. 4 wins for Frank Kimmel in 06. He is 8-time series champion. Just off of Interstate 80, it's Iowa Speedway. Rusty Wallace has had a hand in the design, co-owner of this facility. The first ARCA Re Series run, the Iowa 250, in a long race here on this racetrack. And they have used a lot of different new technologies in not only the construction and design of this race facility, but also to make it better for the fans. The camera shot you're looking at right now, that is actually embedded in the concrete, in the racing surface, that we are able to go to and show you from, they call them tread cams, from where the rubber hits the dirt.
It is right down on the racetrack. I mean, it's actually the tires, you know, right on that racetrack, and them cameras embedded, just like you say, Rick, down in the asphalt. Tremendous job for production and the future of this racetrack.
Well, we want to take a look at our Hardcore Motorsports Safety Initiative, and with that, this facility has really taken on a safety aspect even when they designed it.
Well, they did. Talk about safe. It's the only racetrack in the country right now that has safer barrier walls all the way around this racetrack, 360 degrees around this racetrack. You see the safer barrier walls. But what's unique about it also, Larry Clements, part owner of this track, and Rusty Wallace, they designed this track so that there's no concrete behind the safer barrier walls that you see in other racetracks, because they had to retrofit safer barrier walls in the other constructions of these racetracks. This racetrack, they said, hey, let's not put a concrete wall behind the safer barrier. Let's make it that much softer. Let's build a structure to where if a driver does hit the wall, it gives them that much more absorption in it. And my hat's off to the people, the designers of this racetrack, and it is one step up. It is a track of the future.
Very safe facility, and we've had 2 cautions on it up to this point. The Iowa 250 will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Newton, Iowa. We've just gone back to green flag racing. Ryan Foster just in front of Mario Gosselin. Gosselin all over the back bumper of Foster now. Foster gets a little loose. Gosselin takes a look. Looks like Foster's going to hold him off one more time around this circuit.
Mario wants to lead around this facility. He knows that he has to get back underneath him, get underneath Ryan a little bit to get that air off the race car, and that's exactly what he did, just to wiggle that tail. And he drove underneath him. And Mario said, we've got a really good race car, talking to his brother Jermaine. He said, man, we've worked hard all year. We've worked on our air package, and he says, I believe we can prove it here today.
So Gosselin takes the top spot away from Ryan Foster. Wendy, what's he talking about?
Now, of course, Ryan Foster has a Rookie of the Year title on the line. He is very well aware that Blake Bjorklund has been behind the wall, and they have been discussing the possibility of him winning the Rookie of the Year title because of this particular race. So a little bit more motivation for Ryan Foster. I did talk to his crew chief. They do plan on pitting anytime after lap 50. If a caution comes out, they said they'll probably come in, take some tires, and check the air pressure to see how the car is responding on that first set of tires. Rick?
Well, that's a good idea.
Yes, it is. And we talked about it, you know, lap 50, 60, right in that range. They're going to need tires anyways. We believe they'll start falling off. So, you know, I'm sure he'll wait for the next caution, and you'll see a lot of them come cycle through.
Coming up on lap 45 completed. They come out onto the front stretch. Again, just 7/8 of a mile. A lot of drivers comparing it to different racetracks, or at least trying to. But as Rusty mentioned earlier, it really is unlike any other racetrack. Don Radebaugh.
Well, Frank Kimmel's car, he's reported that it is tight on the 46 car, and he thinks they can cure that with just an air pressure adjustment. They are scheduled for a pit stop very, very soon, hoping for a caution soon so they can adjust that air pressure, but right now she's a little tight.
And tight on a short track, what's that do to you?
Well, it's tough because you go in, you turn the wheel, and it does not turn. The car goes up the racetrack, and you have to turn it more. As you come off the corner, you just lose a tremendous amount of speed. You don't want to be tight. A little bit tight is okay, but if it starts getting tighter and tighter, it could escalate and really slow you down.
That accident that took place on the 19th lap between Juan Pablo Montoya and Steve Wallace did a little bit of damage to the left front of the 61, but it looks as though they have taken care of that because Stephen Wallace is moving back toward the front. Don, what's going on with that race car.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick, according to Steve Wallace, listening to him on the radio, it's actually working better now than it was. I don't know that that has anything to do with the adjustments they made on that left front fender, but it was, the car was very loose. It's tightened up. It's coming to him. He says the car, the handle, is absolutely perfect, and it looks that way on the track, too.
Well, what some teams, guys have a tendency to do when you come down pit road, they want to tug out on that left front fender down on the bottom side, which puts more downforce on the car because the more air that goes over the hood of the race car puts more downforce on it. So I'm sure when they worked on that car, they may have made a little bit more downforce on the left front of the 61.
Frank Kimmel, we just saw the 36 go by him. That's Craig Kinzer. Again, just his third start in the ARCA Re Series. The last time he was in an ARCA car, he won that race, and that was back in 2005 at Talladega. And so Craig Kinzer trying to have more success in the state of Iowa. Craig Kinzer won the Knoxville Nationals in a sprint car a year ago.
Second place, just passing Ryan Foster for second position. That car is stable out of the MB2 Motorsports team out of Mooresville, North Carolina there, and just a tremendous effort for him.
Craig Kinzer now setting his sights on Gosselin. Wendy.
We've seen Craig Kinzer move through the field ever so carefully. We don't hear a whole lot from Craig himself, but more so from the spotter telling him to take his time and just click them off one by one. We will hear more from him as we get closer to a caution. I'm expecting Craig Kinzer to come down pit road, and I'll let you know what adjustments he will make at that time.
Thank you, Wendy. When we look back from Mario Gosselin's position where he's currently running first, we see Craig Kinzer. It looks as though Kinzer can run anywhere on the racetrack. He's passed people on the inside. He looks like he's going high now on Gosselin. To look at that outside line, he looks pretty comfortable anywhere he runs.
Yeah, he does. And as the race goes on, Rick, we put more rubber down on that outside, so we start running the outside a little bit more. What Craig's got to be careful of is not to overdrive the race car and run the wheels, the tires off the race car this early in the game, because we could go on a 20 or 30 lap run here before we see another caution. That's where the tires will really start to play part. So the guy who manages his tires will be there at the long run.
Going to the outside of Mario Gosselin, looking to take away the top spot. Craig Kinzer able to make that second line work. Now he tucks back in. He looks like he might look to the inside. It's Gosselin just in front of Craig Kinzer.
Mario Gosselin, a winner in the ARCA Re Series this year at Nashville Speedway. Won the Gibson guitar as a trophy. That team has just really accelerated, and he's been dabbling in the ARCA Series for the past year, and this year he's gotten real serious about it. He's doing a fine job.
There goes Craig Kinzer on the outside. He's got the nose in front of Mario Gosselin. Can he make the pass? Now he's got a car in front of him that's going to block for Gosselin, and so Craig Kinzer takes over the top spot. He will lead in Iowa.
Craig doing the right thing, tiptoeing around Mario Gosselin. He had an opportunity a few laps earlier to pass him, but he said, hey, I'll just wait for the proper time. He set him up as they worked through traffic and just did a really stellar job of passing on the outside.
So Craig Kinzer out in front of the field. Mario Gosselin second. Ryan Foster's dropped back to third. Kimmel holding on to a top 5 spot. And Justin Dirks, developmental driver, has moved into the top 5. The 36. That is Craig Kinzer, our leader, coming down on pit road. Wendy.
Of course, Craig Kinzer is running an MB2 car for that organization. Now, he has not given a whole lot of feedback on the car until just now when the caution came out. He said he's been tight from the center out. 4 tires and a slight adjustment for Craig Kinzer. Don?
Different strategy here. They're just going with right side tires on the mighty EZ12 car. They can't compete with the Cup teams on pit road, so they're going to go with just the right side tires and try to keep Mario's track position good all day long. Although he's a little slow getting off pit road, now he stalls it, got it back going again. Whoa, a little tight there off pit road. Mario down and away.
Close to Justin Dirks as they came off. Again, we're under our third caution. Mike Harmon in the number 38 was slow coming out of turn number 4. And so the caution comes out, and we are continuing under pace speed now as most of the lead lap drivers have made their way onto pit road and made adjustments. Lap down cars will now make their way onto pit road for their adjustments as well.
On board Mario, like I say, taking 2 tires, that will free the car up a little bit. He was complaining of it being a little tight, so See if that makes it better.
Brian Keselowski, last time by, was scored as our leader of this race. Billy Venturini moved up to second.
Norm Benning, Justin Allgaier down on pit row coming in for service. There's James Hilton.
James Harvey Hilton. Final race in the ARCA RE/MAX Series as a driver. 72 years old, Dan, and that is an amazing thing. This young man, well, 72-year-old man, has seen a lot of things in his career. 601 Cup starts. And when I talked to James earlier today, James let me know that his probably highlight of his career, his racing career, was back in 1970 when he beat the King, Richard Petty, at Richmond. He says, I still hold that near and dear because not many people can say that they beat the King.
Oh, you're exactly. He's been around so long. He's Rookie of the Year in 1966 in the Cup Series also.
James Hilton with 2 Cup wins. First win was Richmond back in 70. Then he won at Talladega in 72. Don Radebaugh.
You know, guys, stock car racing today is one of the most lucrative and most popular sports on planet Earth, and it's because of guys like James Hilton, who pioneered this thing in the early days so it could be what it is in the modern day. And you know, truth is, drivers today are a whole heck of a lot safer in that seat because of guys like James Harvey Hilton, who in the early days did it with an open face helmet and 1 lap belt and a Mobil Oil t-shirt and strong-armed it and went. But guys like James Harvey Hilton can be credited with this great sport we all enjoy today. Thanks, James, for all the memories.
A lot of amazing things. 54 years of racing for James Harvey Hilton. 47, Ryan Foster. What's going on, Wendy?
Well, he came down pit road running third, and when those guys that were running up front went back out, such as Craig Kinzer, they ended up around 7th or 8th. But Ryan Foster had a little bit of trouble on the left-hand left rear tire of that machine, and he lost a lot of spots. His drop back to 18th as we go back green.
Green flag flies out in front of the field. It is the 29 of Brian Keselowski is actually being scored as our leader. Just in front of him, the 90 of Brett Rowe and the 40 of Troy Wengeren. Those 2 cars at the tail end of the lead lap. Again, the number 29 there, that is our leader, race leader. 3rd one in line, then it's Billy Venturini and Brian Silas in the 11. Interesting day for Brian Silas a week ago at Talladega. He had an unbelievable accident. Took place there that actually ended the race.
Keselowski, another winner in the ARCA RE/MAX Series this year at Berlin Speedway. So we've got a lot of guys that have won races this year that are, you know, right on the edge of victory at a lot of tracks, but just had some problems. So again, just to show you how competitive this series has been. We have 8 different winners are in the field here today.
Brian Keselowski able to stay out in front of the field. Wendy, how'd he do it?
Well, Brian Keselowski did pit early on in the race at lap 20. He took 2 tires only, so he is off on pit sequence. But Brian Keselowski feels pretty comfortable in his car today.
There's another family-run operation, the Keselowski group. Kay, his mother, up on top of the grandstand spotting. And Bob Keselowski, his father, who's won here in the ARCA Series, is the crew chief for him. Running at second, another family operation. 25 of Billy Venturini, crew chief Bill Venturini, his father.
Big mover, Billy Venturini. You know, we always talk about Billy does not qualify well, but man, he has moved through the pack here today. Him and Bobby Gearhart talking to Big Bill Venturini and Billy Gearhart yesterday. They looked at each other and said, "What's up? You know, neither one of us can qualify. We just was not where we wanted to be, qualifying 29th and 31st, and now look at them both move to the front."
There's the 61 of Stephen Wallace we're riding along with. He's trying to take a position away from Dexter Bean, who's in 6th just in front of him. You see those 2 running nose to tail, and on a short track there just isn't a lot of room to make passes and get by guys on these closed confines.
No, and this track here is so different. We call it a short track, but it's 7/8 of a mile. We carry a lot of speed in the corner. I'm talking about 140, 150 mile an hour entering corner entry here. And you have to be so so careful because if you get on that outside and wiggle a little bit, there's not much room for saving the car. Thanks to this racetrack, it's a progressive banking, 12, 13, and 14. As you get up higher, it helps hold the race car, so that's why it's been such a good racetrack.
Brian Silas in the 11, also working position here. So Dexter Bean, Silas, and Steve Wallace, three of them fighting for the 5th position. Out in front of the field, though, Brian Keselowski leading the field around the 7/8 mile Iowa Speedway. You're watching ARCA Racing live on Speed. And welcome back to Iowa Speedway for the ARCA Remax Iowa 250 under our 4th caution. As problems with the number 40, Troy Wengren, got him spun around coming out of turn number 2. Take a glimpse at what just took place while we were at break. Brian Keselowski, our leader, on the outside. There's a little contact made there. Troy goes spinning around.
Troy just gets to the bottom, gets in a little hot, loses the nose of the race car. Did the right thing, got out of the gas and got on the binders, but it's hard to stop.
He's sliding around, backing it up to bring it back to straighten out. Now, that was the reason the caution came out. And then as we're under caution, Troy tries to get back up to speed, and take a look at this.
This is scary here. You see Frank Kimmel, Mario Goslin, Kimmel right to the bottom. Man, that could have been devastating.
Troy having problems getting it back up to speed even after we were under caution and pulled it right up into the line of fire. Pace car has made its way off of the racetrack, meaning we're about to go back to racing. Out in front, it's Brian Keselowski, Billy Venturini, Steve Wallace, Justin South, and Bobby Santos, your top 5.
That shot from that track cam.
Juan Pablo Montoya again back out onto the racetrack, but only has completed 37 of the 76 laps that have run, so 37 laps down. Again, just getting lap time now. We know he's moving on to the 42 in the Nextel Cup Series next season, and so as much track time as he can get from one of these heavier stock cars, the more he's going to learn.
And that's big. That's all about communication. You know, Brad Parrott, the crew chief on that car, the spotter, Lauren Renier, they have to get some time together. The only way they're going to get it is on the racetrack, and this is a perfect opportunity to do it. Learn to work together, understand them signals, clear low, clear high. He's going to be in a lot of traffic. Obviously, the race car not quite up to speed yet, and they've got to bring it up to speed slow to make sure that it's drivable for one so that he can make some good competitive laps.
That 22 of Brian Reffner, not on the lead lap, not a battle for position. Reffner currently scored in 26th, so trying to get his lap back, which he has just done.
Yeah, he had to come down pit row. I believe they had a tire going down earlier, and he was running up in the top 5. Good competitor in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Steve Wallace now in second, sets his sights on our leader, Brian Keselowski. Has a very strong car, started on the pole, has the track record. His qualifying time, 22.933 seconds, 137.357 miles an hour he set in qualifying, and he's using all that speed to take away the top spot from Brian Keselowski.
Steve Wallace got a little bit of tape flapping on the left front fender of that car. You see where they put a Band-Aid on there, but it should not make too much difference.
Again, that was the problem earlier with Juan Pablo Montoya. Those two got into each other. Left front got a little bit damaged. Don.
Well, Steve Wallace isn't saying a lot on the radio right now. He just said that he does like the handle on this race car. We talked earlier, it was way too loose. It's definitely coming to him and getting better all the time. They made a lot of big changes in practice yesterday. Changed the front sway bar on this race car and changed the rear spring package all around to Steve's liking. And right now he's liking it a whole lot.
Taking over the 4th spot, Justin Dirks moves up in front of Bobby Santos.
Justin, a development driver for Robert Yates Racing. Got 4 starts in the ARCA Remax Series. Best finish is 15th at Kentucky. Best qualifying effort would have been 7th at Nashville.
Justin Dirks and Stephen Light, 2 Robert Yates Racing development drivers coming in the same time. Stephen Light has got a win, and now Justin Dirk is looking for his first win in the ARCA Remax Series as he's made it up to 4th.
Frank Kimmel out the windshield of Frank, tiptoeing through traffic, just behind Billy Venturini there, being scored in 7th position at the time.
Billy Venturini's really dropped back. He was second on the restart of this race, or most recent restart. Now he's dropped back to 6th. Kimmel has made his way up to 7th, looking to take away 6th. And we see James Harvey Hilton on pit road, and the car has stopped.
This could be it for James Hilton if he decides to get out of the race here now. This could be his farewell. But I tell you, what a career he's had.
Again, this is the final race for James Harvey Hilton. Battle for 6th continuing. Billy Venturini just in front of the 46 of Frank Kimmel as he looks to the inside down the backstretch.
And again, Billy qualifying in 31st, not happy with the car. Him and Big Bill made a lot of changes.
Here comes Big Frank on the inside, and Frank Kimmel taking 6th away from Billy Venturini. Mario Goslin is going to try to follow Kimmel also. Goslin will be fighting for that position. Wendy, what's going on with Billy?
Well, we know Billy is not the best qualifier, and he'll tell you that himself. He started 31st, and he's moved on up. He joked around that said at the banquet this winter, he hopes he's getting the Hard Charger Award for 2006. He is leading those points when it comes to that award. And also, Billy wanted to say, as there is a car spinning on the front stretch.
That was Big Bill watching that car spin along the front stretch. That was Brian Silas in the number 11. We see him there on the inside of the racetrack. That's in turn 2. Try and get back up to speed. No caution has come out.
Andy Hillenberg, the owner of that car, owner of Fast Track Driving School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Constant, that youngster.
Couple cars, as we continue to watch the racing on the racetrack, have gone behind the wall. The 22 has gone behind the wall. That's Brian Refner, and then the 23 has just made the trip behind the wall. Ricky Sanders has taken that car behind the wall for more extensive work. Mario Goslin in 7th now. Dexter Bean just behind Goslin. In 8th, Billy Venturini 9th, and then the top 10 rounded out by the 65 of Justin Marks.
Ricky Sanders behind the wall in the garage area. James Hilton pushing behind the wall. Looks like he may be done for today.
Get 250 lap race. We're on lap 91, and we have about 18 cars on the lead lap. This Saturday on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series marches into Martinsville. Both title battles and temperatures will be heating up as everybody tries to catch Todd Bodine. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, live on Speed.
Battle for 4th position there. Frank Kimmel looking on the inside of Justin Derricks. Down on the bottom. Just can't get back in the gas to pass him. It's so important to get back in the throttle when we get back in the center, to get off the corner, and Frank Kimmel not able to do that.
Kimmel trailing that number 70, but right on the bumper. Faster speeds than your normal short track. As you had mentioned, seeing speeds in the 140s when they're entering the turn.
Yep, you can't say enough. The drivers just raved about how good this racetrack is, how smooth it is, tremendous amount of grip, really good transition on corner entry. Very important for a driver, that corner entry.
Get out in front of the field is the 61 of Steve Wallace, currently running in the 6th position. It's Bobby Santos out of Franklin, Maine.
Doing a good job. Santos, Bill Davis Racing development team there. Test team, as they call it. And we can learn a lot here that will transfer over to some of the Busch cars and the Cup cars, because we're getting down. The springs we're using on these cars are the squat springs. We call them coil binding, and a lot of teams are in the coil bind setup here today. Talk to probably 60 to 70% of them. A lot of them are doing that, but it's a hard thing to do. This is a perfect place to come and try it, especially a track like this where we carry the corner entry speeds. as high as we do. What they learn here, some of these Cup teams can take that information and move it over to the Busch side or the Cup side.
And Bobby Santos making his first start in the ARCA Re-Max Series. Don, what's going on with him?
Loving the race car right now. He says the handle is right where he needs it, right where he wants it, just being a little conservative. This is a long, short track race for these guys. Bobby, by the way, is one of the only 2 drivers in the field today that have prior experience here in Iowa. Imagine that. It was in a USAC Sprint and Midget car a couple of months ago. He's won 6 USAC Midget and Sprint car events this year, 11 national events in all with his ISMA Super Modified victories, but one of the only drivers, the very few drivers that actually has seat time here at Iowa, and I think that's showing up today as he creeps and crawls closer to Frank.
Frank Kimmel just in front of him in the 5th position. And Kimmel is trying to get by the 70 of Justin Dirks. That 70 team has put a little more distance now between himself and Kimmel. 3 wide in short track racing. That's...
Now you see Frank Kimmel, he said, no, I don't think we need to do this, boys.
Yeah, you clench your teeth when they see things like that.
Yep. Do not want to be 3 wide here right now. I mean, unless you got a really good race car and you're the guy on the outside that can get turned, but not the thing to do unless you really have to. Comes down to the last lap.
Almost 5 seconds have separated 1 and 2 now. Steve Wallace has about a 5-second lead over Craig Kinzer. That's number 36. We had mentioned how on the restart it was Billy Venturini that restarted 2nd, but he's dropped all the way back to 14th. Wendy, what's going on?
I know exactly what's wrong with the 25 machine. He says he needs a caution on that last pit stop on lap 33. They checked the wear on the inside of the right front tire, and it showed a little bit of slight wear. So the right front tire is starting to fall apart on that machine, and the car is beginning to shake. Now, he does have 25 more laps on his tires than somebody such as Craig Kinzer. So he is off on his sequence in as well, and is begging for a caution.
Wasn't this where you throw your glove out the window, or you take some roll bar padding and you toss that out the window for begging for a caution?
The debris caution, or you go down and pay your friend, you know, it's 3 laps down, tell him to spin out. Give me a caution.
Isn't this where you yell out, hey, there's debris all over the racetrack?
This guy does not want to see the caution, though. His car's hooked up. It's like you talked about earlier, Rick. He's able to run on the low side, the bottom, the top, the middle, able to get through traffic. So important in a track like this where you carry so much speed in the corner to be able to pick your line. Frank Kimmel, battle for 4th again, bouncing back and forth, listening to Frank on the radio. He's experiencing a tight condition, not able to turn the car down in the center, from the center off like he needs to. He has to be right down on the bottom, or he has trouble getting off the corner. So I'm sure to the next pit stop, they'll make some adjustments on the 46 car, Frank Kimmel.
Even before the start of this race, Frank Kimmel has locked up his 8th Series championship in the ARCA Re-Max Series. An unbelievable feat. 70 of Justin Dirks just in front of 8-time champion. It looks like we're seeing a little overheating maybe on the number 46, but before that, what's going on with Justin Dirks, Don?
Smooth sailing for the 70 car, one of the only Hawkeyes in the show from Davenport, Iowa. Justin Dirks is a 2-time NASCAR AutoZone Elite champion, but getting the job done here today in the much heavier 3,400-pound ARCA Re-Max Series car. Crew chief on the 70, Tom Sokolowski, former champion crew chief of the ARCA Re-Max Series with Tim Steele. So he's got some great help on pit road, and he's getting the job done trackside.
Doing just that, as he's been able to hold off the 46 of Frank Kimmel, but I noticed a couple laps ago, the overflow, or where the car overflows when it gets warmed, there was water and steam blowing out of that overflow on the 46.
Possibly a little overheating condition on the 46 car.
And into the wall, Justin Dirks just got into the wall in front of the 46 of Frank Kimmel. We saw the smoke coming off of the right side of that car as Kimmel went by him, and that brings out our 5th caution. Good for Billy Venturini, not good for the 70 of Justin Dirks.
Possibly a tire problem issue on the right front, not sure. Just up hard into the retaining wall.
Take one more look at what just took place for Justin Dirks. The 70 of Justin Dirks just in front of the 46 of Frank Kimmel, and there you see him run right up the racetrack. Obviously a tire going down.
Yep, looks like a tire issue. Just slid right up the racetrack, nothing you can do.
So our fourth or fifth caution of the day has come out. It's Justin Dirks bringing this one out at lap 112. Again, a 250-lap race in Iowa. Welcome back to the ARCA Remax Iowa 250. The 46 of Frank Kimmel just coming off of pit road.
Frank having looks like a little overheating issue possibly there. You talked about it a few laps back, Rick, and they had to put the cool-down unit on it. There's 4 car on Montoya back off of pit road, making some more adjustments to that car. Again, at this point, they're here for building the team, building communication, driver, crew chief, spotter. That's what they're here for now.
Again, the problem with the 4, Juan Pablo Montoya leading the race, actually went up the racetrack, got into Steve Wallace, who was running second, sent him into the wall. That's why all the damage to the right side, and we still see the overflow on the 46. Don, what's going on?
Well, the motor's too hot, and motors don't like to be hot in this business. It's creeping and crawling up towards the 250 mark, and you can see the overflow still pumping out water. Well, they brought it down pit road and put water in the 46 car, but they didn't have the opportunity to change tires or anything like that. They had to focus on the motor problem, which it's getting way too hot, and they may be coming back down pit road to give it more water.
Yeah, Frank on the radio screaming, Bill, it's still puking water. We got to do something. They've got a pressure system in this car, which is a little bit different. They actually pressurize it after they put the water in the car. They actually pressurize it to like 20 pounds. They build pressure in there, and there's really, the overflow is a last resort. So this car's got to be really hot to be shooting water out of it. Joe Ryan, the engine builder of this car, builds super motors. I mean, his motors have been tremendous for Frank through the years. Once in a while, you'll have a head gasket or sometimes a head will crack. Still shooting water out that car, so he's got to get back up to speed. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
As Frank Kimmel makes his way out of his pit stall and will get off of pit road, the pace car makes its way onto pit road. Out in front of the field, it is Steve Wallace, Craig Kinzer, Bobby Santos, Justin Marks, and Michael McDowell. The top 5 as they take the green, and we're back underway in Iowa.
Got some lap cars down on the bottom side there, so Steven's got to tiptoe around there to get around them.
0-2 of Bobby Santos. Looked as though he got by Steve Wallace.
Like Ryan Howard got a little bit wide in the corner there. Pushed the 62 car up to the racetrack, and Stephen Wallace is back there just watching, saying, man, I got to be careful.
Yep, Steve's still out in front, though. It's Steve Wallace, Craig Kinzer, Bobby Santos, Dexter Bean, and Michael McDowell. Again, your top 5. At 62, a lap down car.
Stephen Wallace has gotten back out front where he wants to be. Get a lot of air on the nose of that car. Set sail.
Craig Kinzer in the 36, running just his 3rd ARCA Remax Series race. The first 2, he was 50% on wins. Raced in Michigan, wasn't able to win that one, but went to Talladega. Won a year ago at Talladega. And now in just his 3rd start in the ARCA Remax Series, he's running 2nd.
There's a 50 car, Chase Pistone, grandson of Tiger Tom.
Here's another car. Looks like he's having handling problems. Brian Keselowski was leading this race earlier. Winnie, what's going on with Brian?
Brian came down pit road, took 4 tires and no adjustments on his machine. Now he came back. He got stuck in pit road and got wedged behind the 25 of Billy Venturini. So he lost a lot of time on pit road, but it wasn't because of his pit stop. It was simply because he got wedged in. Don?
Bad deal for Frank Kimmel. They're pushing the car backwards now. It not only got too hot, it got so hot, the motor broke on the Ford Fusion. The day will no doubt be done for the 8-time ARCA Remax Series National Champion Frank Kimmel going behind the wall at Iowa.
Well, I'm sure he's disappointed in the fact that he's not going to race for this one, but that just means he can begin his celebration of his 8th championship just a few hours earlier.
Yep, just a little bit earlier. Unfortunate for Frank. Good run from that team this year. They've been a tremendous competitor.
6 of Dexter Bean, currently in the 7th position, just behind him, Ryan Foster. Again, Ryan Foster trying to battle for that Rookie of the Year title, and right in front of him is the 32 of Blake Bjorklund. Bjorklund leading the points going into this race, but Bjorklund had transmission problems, went behind the wall, lost a number of laps, and so right now it's Ryan Foster who's the highest scored in that battle currently for Rookie of the Year.
Yep, and it's never over till it's over. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. They did the right thing. They brought the 32 car behind the wall, changed the transmission, and you're exactly right.
You just used 2 cliches in the same sentence there. It's never over till it's over. You got to do what you got to do.
There you go.
I like both of them.
Could you do that fast?
I don't think I could. I was impressed.
Well, good. It's hard to impress Rick Allen. I know that, especially in the booth.
Dexter Bean just in front of Billy Venturini. We think Billy may have got his handling problems resolved as he runs in 8th now. Ryan Foster drops back to 9th, and it's Justin South rounding out our top 10.
24 car, Justin South, a Bob Shack entry. Chuck Weber was driving that car most of the year. Chuck had a little bit of medical conditions, had to step out of the 24 car.
Just past the halfway point in this one. Again, 125 laps completed, 250 scheduled. That's over 218 miles of racing for the ARCA Remax Series. This will be the longest race of the season for it.
Yes, it is. And on a short track like this, it even makes it that much longer. But this track is such a good racing facility. Again, we talked about it's got so much grip. It has kept a pretty good pace here so far. Knock on wood, we can continue to do that.
Well, why? I mean, we talk about entry into a corner. We talk about the different lines. What makes this one so much better as far as trying to get into a corner?
Well, 2 things. It's a transition, like I said. You don't have to turn the wheel real hard to get down in the corner. You can drive down in real easy, turn it about a quarter turn, and the car sticks. That's about grip. So the track has a good transition, and it's got a lot of grip. It's got so much grip that just as soon as you get down in the middle of the corner, before you get to the middle, you're back wide open on the throttle, and the car sticks. So it's got a tremendous amount of grip. Rusty Wallace mixed up some kind of crazy asphalt or something to make this be this way, but it works.
There's a good battle for 3rd. Mario Goslin on the inside of Bobby Santos trying to take that position away, and he will. So Mario Goslin gets up to 3rd. Craig Kinzer running 2nd. Steve Wallace out in front. One race that Frank Kimmel will not be able to claim is the first ever race at Iowa Speedway because he is behind the wall now with Don Radebaugh.
Behind the wall and way too soon to be out of the car. Frank, verify for us what happened.
It looks like we maybe have a little bit too much tape on the car to start. It got a little warm. May have blew a head gasket or something. We probably could have kept cooling it off, but not a points day anymore. It's all over, so we didn't want to hurt Joe's motor, and we'll just take our little car, go home, and try to make it better for next year.
Quickly, tell me about the track. How is Iowa Speedway?
It's an awesome place. It's a lot of fun. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing out there, and really a good place to race. It's going to be a great racetrack.
Well, let the champion celebration begin. The 8-time champ will soon be popping the top on the champagne.
And they got a few bottles of champagne out there.
Yeah, we've seen them down there. Lots of port, lots of champagne.
Yep. A lot of celebration about to take place. We've passed the halfway point in this one. Could we have a new winner in the ARCA Remax Series? We've had 17 different winners to this point, 12 first-time winners. Well, Craig Kinzer would like to put his name in the winners column for 2006. Speed's coverage of the ARCA Remax Series from Iowa is brought to you by SK Hand Tools, the official hand tools of ARCA, by It's Mighty Easy Cleaner Degreaser, and by New Chase Freedom. Finally, you can feel free to choose reward points or cash back. Steve Wallace still dominating in Iowa. Because his father designed this racetrack, that doesn't surprise us at all. 0-2 of Bobby Santos, 12 of Mario Goslin, and the 65 of Justin Marks, all battling for the 3rd position. Bobby Santos has it. Marks has moved to 4th, and Mario Goslin's dropped all the way back to 5th position, and it looks like Goslin is off the pace now.
Yeah, Mario falling back a little bit. So strong here all the way through the race. Possibly felt the car jitter a little bit. Sounds like he's out of the gas awful early. He's entered the corner. Not sure what the problem there is. See Ryan Foster on the outside.
Battle for 3rd. The 0-2 of Bobby Santos just in front of Justin Marks for now. Here comes Marks on the inside. Justin Marks, as they go across the start-finish line, will get the nod as 3rd. Bobby Santos 4th. Dexter Bean in 5th.
Yep, and what's so cool, again, about this racetrack, we can race too wide. You see the guys race too wide off the corner. track is starting to come in. We're starting to get some rubber down, and it's getting that much more racer.
Dexter Bean trying to take the position away from Bobby Santos. That is a battle for fourth. Bean will take it away, and again, Bean fastest in practice yesterday. We were expecting him to run strong, and he has moved his way up toward the front now as Dexter Bean is in fourth.
Dexter said he just overdrove the car in qualifying. We talked earlier and just slipped, and he said, I've got a good race car. If I use my head and work through traffic, I'll be okay. He's got two top five finishes this year. You know, he finished fourth at Chicago and fourth at Pocono, so it's been a pretty good year, up and down year for Dexter, but he's had some good runs.
Those are his career best finishes in fourth. Don, what's going on in the pits with that team?
Well, he absolutely loves this car. This is his favorite race car without question. This is the very same car he finished fourth in at Pocono and Chicagoland. But after a terrible season full of bad luck, this team has really stepped it up as we close the 06 season out. Fourth at Chicago, 11th at Salem where they were on the pole, and 10th just last week at Talladega. These guys are really on a roll.
Problems for the number 12, Mario Goslin, one of our competitors out of Canada. Started this race in 7th. Won at Nashville earlier this season, was running strong, but problems now for the number 12, Don.
Well, Mario's here in the Mighty Easy car. They thought they had a problem with the right rear with a vibration. He thought he had a vibration from the right rear of the race car, but now Mario has shut the engine off in the 12 car and the hood will go up, so maybe a motor problem, but either way it goes, they will go a lap down, maybe more.
Mario having some trouble last week at Talladega. Just tough 2 races for Mario. Running so good, too. Unfortunate. Possibly an internal vibration in the car, and that's what they're looking at, but it's really not. It's hard to tell unless you crank that thing up. The driver knows for sure.
And not the way that they want to round out this season. Steve Wallace continues to put cars a lap down. He's about to get to Brent Sherman in the 04. Brent Sherman scored in the 12th position. That means that currently we have 12 drivers on the lead lap, and it looks as though Stephen Wallace is going to try to put him down a lap. So 11 cars now on the lead lap. One of the cars running so strong early on in this race. The 29 of Brian Keselowski led laps here in Iowa, and now he is about to go a lap down. It's almost reminiscent of the Michigan race when that darn Rusty Wallace Incorporated car lapped the field.
Yeah, it did. It was just, you know, you can't say enough about it. This car is so superior. Steven's using his head. He's working through traffic. That's what he's got to be careful about. Spotter's got to work him through traffic through the course of this race. He can drive down in the corner, set these cars up, and be able to stay in that gas pedal more, and that's exactly what he's doing here. The car able to drive in the middle, you know, to the top side of this racetrack. Even on corner entry, he's driven 3 wide and just drove across the car up on the second groove, and that's important to be able to hang on the tail of that race car down on that corner entry when you make that arc.
Billy Venturini, the next to go a lap down. Billy Venturini scored in the 9th position. Don, I believe you've caught up with one that doesn't want to be out of the car.
I have Mario Goslin, a short day for you. What happened?
Well, I'm not sure, you know. Mighty Easy, cleaner than Greaser Chevrolet was running great. We did a 2-tire stop earlier to see how the car would react, and it was terrible tight. We were in traffic and kind of bit our time and did a 4-tire stop there and was coming back through. And I don't know if it's an oil line or the rear hub or something just started smoking real bad, and it wasn't going to fix itself. You know, I hit it for Mighty Easy. Really wanted to get him, you know, a full run here, maybe top 5 finish, but it ain't going to be today.
No, it will not, gentlemen.
So disappointment for Mario Goslin, but I'm guessing one driver is very happy as he is making his way around his father's designed racetrack. That is Stephen Wallace out in front of the field in number 61 here in Iowa. Tonight on Speed, don't miss the Speed Report. Go beyond the highlights and beyond the stats. Get the why with the Speed Report. Tonight, 8 Eastern and Pacific only on Speed. This is what it looks like to lead at Iowa Speedway. A rhythm is what Steve Wallace has got right now. And about 4 seconds between himself and Craig Kinzer, currently in second. Again, Steve Wallace continuing to lap more cars around here. Good battle now between Dexter Bean and the number 6 and the 2 of Michael McDowell. Bean in 4th, Michael McDowell in 5th.
Michael driving an Eddie Sharp Racing prepared automobile. 21 years old, out of Phoenix, Arizona. Ex-Chip Ganassi car, Ernie Elliott Motors.
Mike McDowell, familiar to other racing series.
Very, very competitive racer in the road race series. He actually finished 6th this year in the Rolex 24 Hours down at Daytona. That's quite an accomplishment.
Star Mazda series. He's involved in quite a bit of racing, and obviously, as a racer, you'd love to race in about any type of vehicle. Wendy, what's going on with the two?
You mentioned the two of Michael McDowell is in a Ganassi machine. He also has Ganassi crew members going over the wall for him. Now, when I talked to his crew chief, Jeff McClure, he said he has been a little free today. They are short by about 15 laps, so they will, of course, make one more stop, but they're not planning on making any adjustment on McDowell.
Well, I don't believe I'd be making any adjustments on that car myself, Wendy. That car looks flawless, and again, he's like Stephen Wallace. He's able to run up in that second groove at times, third groove when he really needs to get through traffic, and that's so important here at Iowa.
Next speed coming down a little bit there. Ryan Howard in that number 59, just behind him. And Ryan Howard, another one of the drivers that's in contention for Rookie of the Year. Blake Bjorklund leading coming into this race. Ryan Foster was second. Ryan Howard third. Got the young guys there, 21-year-old Bjorklund, 19-year-old Foster, 21-year-old Howard, 20-year-old Allgaier, and then you throw in 39-year-old Brett Rowe.
Brett Rowe. Yep, he's right there with him. Half, you know, these guys are half his age, but you know, we can still get it done. You know, it's just that these kids that are coming in now,
you
17, 18 years old. Well,
are you trying to tell me that you're 39?
So I'm one of the over-the-hill guys. You know how it is, unfortunate.
We consider you a rookie all the time,
well,
man.
Good. I like that. Maybe if I quit for a few years and come back, they could call me a rookie.
Dexter Bean still holding on to that 4th spot. Justin Allgaier in the 16. One of those rookies competing for Rookie of the Year.
Larry Moore, the crew chief on that car. They had some problems after qualifying. Had to change a tire, had a tire go down, had to start in the back of the field. Unfortunate for him. Our condolences go out to Kay Moore, Larry's wife. Her father passed away this past week, so our thoughts and prayers out to them.
Don Radebaugh.
Yeah, certainly our thoughts and prayers. And you know what else they found out while Larry Moore, the crew chief, wasn't here yesterday? They found out how valuable he was to the team. They had to set the car up without him yesterday, and it cost them in qualifying, running very well here today in the race, though. But they all learned a lesson how valuable that veteran crew chief and former ARCA Remax Series winner is to their team, Larry Moore, and they're glad to have him back today.
Justin Allgaier actually spun out, taking the green flag on his first qualifying lap, had to turn the car around, come back to the start-finish line, and made it the second lap and qualified the car in the field. So, car not quite where he wanted, but it was able to put it in the field here today.
Second place, Craig Kinzer in the number 36. Again, Craig almost 5 seconds behind our leader, Steve Wallace.
Another good race car. Again, we said that this car is stable out of the MB2 Motorsports team. Craig running a few races here this year with that team.
Craig Kinzer in just his 3rd start, trying to keep up with Steve Wallace, but Wallace about to put the 02 a lap down, and that's Bobby Santos, who's currently in 7th. So again, the 61 is looking to embarrass the field.
Lap the field like we talked about earlier, Rick. If this stays green, I mean, it's a possibility it could happen. You know, Craig Kinzer, though, he's 4.5, 5 seconds behind Steve Wallace, so he's able to keep the pace and stay with him right now.
Well, even with the damaged number 61, the caution has come out, and that will bring in a little of the field, but that will not help out. Well, the only person that's really going to help out is going to be that 02 of Bobby Santos. He did not fall a lap down, so that is a good thing for him. He'll go to the back of the field. But this is our 6th caution of the day that has come out on lap 169.
Good thing for Santos. He was sweating because Stephen Wallace was coming.
And that car has just been flying around this racetrack. Those are the shots that you've seen, the cameras that are actually embedded in the asphalt. What a great idea.
Well, it really was. And as a fan's perspective, I mean, it gives you that much more of a feel what it's like to be in these race cars. As they come by, as they come down towards the cameras, gives you a good feel about where these drivers do and where they jump around on the racetrack at.
Looks as though Steve Wallace is going to bring the lead car onto pit road. And right behind him will be Craig Kinzer in the number 36. Those two cars making their way down pit road. Wendy.
The 36 of Craig Kinzer is in for a slight adjustment. You see the wedge wrench goes into the rear window, and they a 4-tire stop on his machine. He has been pretty happy overall with his car. Don?
Steve Wallace in as well. 4-tire stop here. Left side tire's already going on. They made a wedge adjustment on the hand screw Dodge. Steve got the car a little too tight. It was too loose. Now it's too tight. They fixed that with a wedge adjustment and 4 tires. He's away.
Well, Don, that car's got to be pretty close because there's just a fine line here between tight and loose, so obviously it found it.
And so Steve Wallace dominating this one at Iowa Speedway. Can he hold on and win race number 3 of 2006? Wednesday night on Speed, the pride, the passion, the adrenaline all comes down to one final race. Tune in as Season 3 crosses the finish line. Don't miss the Pink season finale Wednesday night, 9 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific on Speed. Take a look at our race summary. We try to ride along with Steve. It's a little difficult, though, as he zigs and zags to warm the tires up. Steve Wallace, our leader again. Right behind the pace car, though, you see the number 4 of Juan Pablo Montoya. He led early in this race, but after getting into Steve Wallace and then into the wall, they did enough damage to that car. They had to bring it behind the wall and do some work on it to get it back out. And now he's just getting some laps to try to get a little smarter as a race car driver.
Yep, build experience. That's what it's about.
Again, this is what happened. This was early on in the race, 19 laps into it. Juan Pablo Montoya out in front. He does not know that Steve Wallace is up there, starts to go up high on the racetrack, catches the 61, sends him into the wall, and damage to that 61. They brought the 61 and never lost a lap, but Juan Pablo Montoya lost quite a few laps working on that car.
Yeah, and he had about 4 foot of that nose up under Stephen Wallace's corner there, and so there was plenty of room there. Just a failure to communicate there was the issue, and that's what we're here for, and that's what it's about.
Pace car makes its way down pit road. That means the field back in the hands of the 61.
Clear.
Steve Wallace brings him to the green flag. Craig Kinzer just behind him. The 65 of Justin Marks is third. Bobby Santos and Dexter Bean rounding out our top 5.
Super restart there for Stephen Wallace. Was able to get down on it, get a good run, some 4 to 5 cars on Craig Kinzer, clear the lap cars on the inside. That's important. Drives off the corner again. What's so cool about this place is they built this place kind of like Kentucky a little bit. The runoff room as you come off at turn 4, it's actually an uphill run and it just opens up. It just gives you so much room. So the sensation you get as a driver, you just say, man, I've got tons of room out there. I want more throttle. So it's just so cool to come off the corner here, especially turn 4, because there's just so much run room. It's actually an uphill incline, it feels like.
It must not be too uphill because Steve Wallace is flying around this racetrack like it's all downhill. He's already put almost a second between himself and Craig Kinzer. You know, another testament to this facility, I believe, has to be the fan support. I mean, here's a new facility, brand new, and a cold day. I mean, when you talk about Iowa in October, the possibility for snow is definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. It is a cold day here, and there are a lot of people in the grandstands.
Yeah, there is. The capacity here is 24,000. 19,000 seats are filled here today at Iowa, and I believe that would be a victory for this Speedway for the very first ARCA Re.
Wendy Benarini.
When we landed here in Iowa, right in front of the Speedway, there's an airport, and the race fans, when you land here at Newton, Iowa, it's nothing but farmland, of course. Race fans here at the track today have come up to me numerous times thanking us for being here and bringing a race to this track. They said there's not a whole lot to do in our state, so we're really excited to have a Speedway now in Iowa.
No, I think this is a good enough facility that NASCAR is also going to be looking at this, not only for potentially the Craftsman Truck Series or maybe a Busch Series race, but I think you're going to see a lot of testing done on this racing facility, that the cars maybe that aren't running in the, or that can't obviously test in the Cup Series on a racetrack that they run on, could come to Iowa and test here.
And I think that was part of the thinking too, but the drivers are just bragging about this place. It's got so much grip. It drives so well, and that's what's important, to come test a car at a track like this where you don't have a loose racetrack or a loose condition that's characteristic of a racetrack. This racetrack is not that way. It's a tremendous job they've done building this place, and again, the transitions down in the corners and the exits are what you want as a team or as a race car driver.
Here's a battle for 4 at the O2. Bobby Santos just in front of Ryan Foster. Again, Ryan Foster looking to improve upon his position in the Rookie of the Year standings. Right now, he is second to Blake Bjorklund. Remember, Blake Bjorklund had transmission problems, had to go in. He is a few laps down, and so he is back quite a ways. We got problems. Brian Silas again has troubles in the number 11.
Down the front stretch.
He gets into the wall. Our 7th caution of the day has come out on lap 181.
It's like Troy Wangren in the 40 car up against the wall also. That would be his 2nd incident of the day. Heavy damage to the front of that race car.
Fluid making its way down the racing surface, and so we'll be under caution for a few laps as the safety crews will need to get out to these 2 drivers. Safety crews have to wait until the race cars get by before they can get out there. And again, the sign for guy is okay. They normally drop those window nets, and both cars have done that. Brian Silas, the window net down for him. Also, Troy Wangren in the number 40, his window net is down as well. But a lot of damage to the front of that number 40. We're looking at the 11 also. Front end damage to that car.
Yep, Brian Silas again having 2 frustrating weekends in a row at Talladega. Got into the early incident, and the car just did a 360 in the air. Hard impact with the wall at Talladega at a high rate of speed, and that wasn't good, but just a tough way to end your season for the 11 car.
7th caution of the day has come out at Iowa Speedway, and that's actually good for the competition because the 61 of Steve Wallace is on a rail. Potentially could lap the field. There's only 7 cars on the lead lap. And welcome back to Newton, Iowa. The Iowa Speedway for the ARCA Remax Iowa 250. 185 laps have been completed of the 250. We're under our 7th caution of the day. 2 cars involved in this one. The 11 of Brian Silas and the 40 driven by Troy Wangren. Well, one guy who's out of the race early already but has clinched his 8th championship is a king of ARCA. Everyone's looking up to Frank Kimmel. Winchester, it was his first win of the season, and from that point, it looked as though he was going to be maybe in trouble. He's been plagued by bad luck. He saw just a few bright spots amidst all of the frustration that took place in the 2006 season. His crew chief, Bill Kimmel, also feeling that frustration, but then it turned around. Kansas Speedway, he became the first repeat winner in the ARCA Remax Series. And then it was all bright lights again as he won at Talladega, his first ever restrictor plate race in the ARCA Remax Series. And what a dynasty the 46 team and Frank Kimmel have got going. 8 championships. You look at some of the other racing dynasties. Steve Kinzer, father of Craig Kinzer, 20 championships. John Force, 13 championships. And then in NASCAR, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt with 7 championships each. A.J. Foyt, Michael Schumacher, and Frank Kimmel has stepped ahead of them now as far as championships earned.
And that's an elite group of people right there. I would be proud to be part of that. See the stage in the background. They're setting up for the championship victory after the race here at Iowa.
Again, the reason that it came to this racetrack before we were able to determine if Kimmel was our champion, there is a different type of point that is given for racing segments. If a driver competes in 5 consecutive racing segments, they receive 250 bonus points. And if Kimmel would not have come here and not made it through tech and not been out on the racetrack, he would not have received those 250 points. That would have then brought Bobby Gerhart right back into the mix. Bobby Gerhart could have won the championship, but because Kimmel was here, because he practiced, he automatically earned those 250 bonus points, and so he has claimed his 8th championship in the ARCA Re-Max Series. 61 of Steve Wallace still out in front of this field as 187 laps have been complete. Don, I believe you've caught up with somebody calling the shots down there.
Yeah, one of the key players for sure, Steve Darn, the crew chief. You should be good to go on gas, but there have been some tire concerns. You've had Hoosier Tire down here a couple of times looking over the skins that came off the car. What's going on?
There's a little bit of blistering going on, but it's not terrible. I don't think it's going to be anything that hinders, or I don't think we're going to have any tires that come apart. I mean, we're a little concerned about it, but, you know, all the sets have looked the same, and none have been worse than the others. So we're not going to concern ourselves with that too much right now.
Are we talking right side tires only?
No, we got rights and lefts that are doing it. I don't know. You know, the tires are pretty hard for here, and they're just not dissipating heat quick enough.
Well, can that be expected? This is a brand new track, brand new pavement, something you've seen before probably?
Well, if there hadn't been a couple races here before, then maybe. But there is rubber on the racetrack, so I think it's just, you know, the first shot at these tires for Hoosier on this racetrack, and I think that's just it. You know, they probably came with a little bit too hard of a tire, and when you do that, they hold too much heat, and that's what causes blisters. They have to dissipate heat and wear to not have the problem.
We still have to cover 60 more laps. Will you see come down for more tires?
Right now we can make it to the end, but you know, if we catch a caution, maybe about 220 or so, we might come again. We got another set sitting here.
All right, we'll keep a strong eye on it, gentlemen.
Well, that seems like they're waiting until the last minute. 220, that's only 30 laps from the finish of this race. It's a short track. And another car that's been running fairly well has been the 36 of Craig Kinzer. Wendy.
One of the only guys that's competition for Stephen Wallace out there, Craig Kinzer. His crew chief, Doug, what do you guys think? Will you make another pit stop?
It just depends on how it plays out here. If we get a couple of cautions, we probably won't pit. If we get a long run and have 20 or 30 to go then, we'll probably pit again. Craig's doing a great job, and again, Resort Chevrolet, we're running right there with Stephen. Just seems like it takes about 8 or 10 laps for our car to get going.
I know when we looked at the right front tires, there's some wear on the inside. Is that still an issue? Are you concerned about it?
No, we're not concerned about it. We tested out here and knew we had a problem there, and we've been sneaking up, making it better each practice.
Now, you guys say you tested out here. What is your goal for MB2 Motorsports with Craig Kinzer running these ARCA races?
It's all about Craig learning, getting better. One day we'll put him in a cup car, and it's all about getting laps in and racing.
And of course, the last time Craig ran in ARCA was Talladega last year. He won the event, Rick.
Well, that's pretty good foreshadowing that you just threw out there, Wendy, because I believe we've got some footage of Craig Kinzer's last win and the last time he was in a ARCA Re-Max Series race, and that was in the number 10 at Talladega. Craig Kinzer grabbing the checkers and only his second start in the ARCA Re-Max Series. He made his first start in Michigan previously that year and then was able to find victory lane in Talladega. Again, that was in 2005.
Well, MB2 Motorsports is also talking about bringing Ricky Carmichael into the stock car picture, into the stock car world. As we know, Ricky Carmichael being a very competitive motocross racer through the years, he's talking about coming over to the stock car and run some ARC races.
Ricky Carmichael, a very successful motocross driver. 2 wheels going to 4. We've seen some drivers try to make that transition.
Yep, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, Rick. I mean, it's just a matter of each individual. It's a totally different type of sport, but it's a very aggressive sport, motocross racing. And a lot of motocrossers do make good race car drivers, but some of them are too aggressive. And again, with 4 wheels and having not, you know, you cannot overdrive these race cars or you lose the race car and crash them. Sometimes we're not able to adapt to that.
Another teammate to them could be a guy by the name of Mark Martin, I believe.
Yes, I'm hearing that also.
He's running a few races for MB2
big
Motorsports next year.
Team, for sure.
Well, again, a record season in the ARCA Re-Max Series. We've had 17 different winners. Potentially, our 18th could be Craig Kinzer. 15 different pole winners, ties the ARCA record. It's been an amazing season, this 2006 campaign.
It is, and again, we talked about how competitive the series has been because of that. Couple teams bringing development drivers over here, and 17 different winners in 1 year. That's a record ever.
And so the fluid that was on the front stretch has been cleaned up. There's some speedy dry on the racetrack. The cars will go around a few more times, and we'll go to break and be right back with racing. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. Steve Wallace continues to lead. We're about to go back to racing. A guy Currently being scored in the 15th position, second in points, Bobby Gerhardt. Don?
Just want to throw out a quick nod to the Gerhardt camp. They had no intentions of running the full year this year. They were just going to run 10 to 12 races, but they found themselves up top in points, and they toughed it out. They'll finish second to an 8-time champion. Great job to the Lebanon, Pennsylvania Gerhardt crew.
Bobby Gerhardt had a phenomenal season. Second in points as we get back underway. Lap 195 again of 250, so closing in on the end of this one. Again, the last time they came down pit road, they were inside of their pit window, so for fuel, everyone who pitted on lap 181 can make it the rest of the way. And we have problems with the 34 getting spun around. That's Darrell Basham.
No caution. Green flag stays out, just got turned around on the bottom. Is able to get back underway.
Not in any problems or in the way of anyone.
Another look at it.
A little contact there. That short track racing up in front of him.
Yep.
But then Darrell Basham.
Contract with Brett Sherman there, the 04 car. Slides down to the bottom, gets out of the way.
Trying to get back up to speed just in front of the 61 of Steve Wallace. Wallace will go on the outside of him. Again, that's the lead pack there going by. And Steve Wallace has put almost a second now between himself and Craig Kinzer once again. If he could do that every 2 laps, you do the math, it takes about 29 seconds to get around this racing facility and racing conditions. He has almost enough laps to do it.
The field, yeah, like you say, if we stayed green, his car is so superior, he's able to drive it hard. Then they talked about camber and burning the outsides and the insides of these tires. The crew chiefs try to get the most out of these cars as they can. They put camber in these tires, which we call tilt to that common person who don't really understand the camber word, but all it is tilting the tire. We tilt the tires on these cars so that they get digged into the racetrack as hard as we can. The only problem is it wears one side or the other of the tire out, and you could have a blowout. So you try to get as much tilt. Oh, trouble.
Caution has come back out. Problems.
16 car Justin Allgaier hard into the wall.
1 and 2.
Wind the net down on Justin Allgaier's car.
Like you said, quickly. The 32 and the 16. Problems in turn 1 and 2. This is our 8th caution coming out on lap 199.
Man, that fuel's, look at the fuel coming out of the left rear corner of that. Justin's got to stay in the car to make sure all these cars get slowed down. That's the right thing to do, but that fuel cell being pushed down really hard on the back of that car.
One more time at what took place. Again, getting into turn number 1.
Looks like 32 car down underneath. I'm not sure Justin knew that he was down there, Rick. Possibly a spotter not calling that inside. Just happens that quick.
Hard car involved, we believe, is Dexter Bean, the number 6. He was scored in the 7th position. Again, he was the last car on the lead lap. They're going to do some work there to the Bjorklund machine. That's the 32. And Blake trying to wrap up the Rookie of the Year competition, but it's making it a little bit harder and harder every time he comes onto pit road.
Yep, that nose has got pretty severe damage to it, the right rear corner. They're going to need to bring the car in a few times and get some of that sheet metal pulled away, but hopefully he can continue to circulate around here to collect points.
Problems with the number 6. See steam and water blowing out the overflow on the number 6, so potentially an overheating problem as well as the damage to the right front.
Possibly a radiator knocked out of that car. Dexter in the last 3 races finished 4th, 11th, and 10th, so he's had some pretty competitive past 3 races. Don?
Dexter Bean on pit road. They've got damage to the front of that machine. They changed right side tires on the 6th car, and they've got steam pouring from the spout as well. Could be some overheating issues on this car as they continue to pull the front valance from the front of the race car away. He no doubt had contact with someone out there.
So damage to number 6 of Dexter Bean, who had been running so strong. He's going to try to stay on the lead lap. They're doing a lot of work to the front of that vehicle to clean off the nose. You see Justin Allgaier getting out of his number 16 machine.
1 win this year in the ARCA Remax Series. 6 top 5, 8 top 10s for Justin.
Justin won at Springfield, Illinois earlier this season, as you mentioned.
We'll drink a Coke there and think about it for a minute and walk over to the ambulance.
Windy.
Brian Keselowski is coming back down pit road. They're pulling out the right front fender on his machine. Looks like they might just do a two-tire stop. I see they have stickers in their hand, and they're trying to beat out the right front fender on Brian Keselowski. He's trying to salvage a good finish today.
Brian Keselowski was leading this race early on, now a lap down, being scored in 11th position. Get the bat out to do a little bit of work on the fenders, and they send him back out onto the racetrack.
4 top 5s, 5 top 10s for Brian. Qualified 11th here today.
6 back on pit road. Don, what are they doing?
Well, they're still working on the 6 car. They're trying to keep him on the lead lap. You guys talked about it. The work was not done first time by, so they brought him in again and went to work on the front of Dexter Bean's race car. Should be good to go from here.
And this is typical short track racing. We just go a little faster here at Iowa, but you normally see a lot of bumping and banging that take place on a short track, and we're seeing a lot of damage to the fronts and sides of a lot of these race cars today. Dexter Bean coming off of pit road onto the racetrack, again being scored in the 7th position. And he is the last car on the lead lap.
He doesn't run anywhere near our lap time. Yeah, no, he just gets all rowdy.
Listening in on
Steve Wallace. Dan Partis, Rick Allen in the speed booth. You copy?
Yeah, Dan, I got you loud and clear, buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good, bud. Looks like you're out there for a leisurely Sunday ride out there. Looks like you got you a good hot rod, huh?
Well, the Haynes group, Trans-American Dodge Chargers are running really good right now. We, we started on the pole and I got into Juan Montoya accidentally, and I'd say it was, 50-50 hours and his fault. But, that's over with. We got a good hot rod. I think we got a car that's capable of winning, Just the car's starting to get a little bit tight towards the end of the long run, so, all the last pit stop pulled around a wedge out and get some other changes, so hopefully be good for the long run here.
Any worries on that 36 car? Kinzer there behind you. He gets a little better on the long run.
Yeah, I ain't worried about him. I'm ready, baby.
That a boy, that attitude. How about this racetrack? What a tremendous facility. I mean, looks like your dad was involved in this and just done a super job on the design and everything. How's it drive out there?
I'll tell you what, besides Dad doing it, I don't care if it was Joe Blow's racetrack. This place is awesome. It's incredible. They've done a great job with it. The track's so smooth, it's unbelievable. You can run the bottom, you can run the top, you can run the third groove even. So all the people here at Iowa Speedway should be proud of themselves. They did a real good job, and it sure is a blast to drive on, you know what I mean?
Okay, buddy, you're doing a good job out there. You're making it look pretty easy, though, so good luck to you.
All right, guys, thank you.
Well, Danny said that he could potentially run the 3rd line. Maybe we should just ask if he will run the 3rd line for the remainder of this race. Everybody on the 1st and 2nd lines, and actually make it a challenge for him.
Yep, and if Rusty heard that, he's probably cringing, He's probably saying, no, not the 3rd line. Only when you pass, son.
Well, an overcast day in Iowa, but a bright day for Steve Wallace and the whole Wallace family. This has been a big success. Iowa Speedway, Newton, Iowa. ARCA Re Series final race. 206 laps are completed, the 250-lap race from Iowa. Juan Pablo Montoya early on decided he wanted to run up front, so to the inside he goes of Steve Wallace, takes away the top spot. Then, just a few laps later, the two running side by side. Juan Pablo Montoya goes up, Steve Wallace comes down. There's contact made, and it is enough contact as you ride along with Steve Wallace that Juan Pablo Montoya has to bring the number 4 in, and they take it behind the wall and start doing extensive work to that. It didn't take long for Steve Wallace, though, to get back up to the front. He has put on a dominating performance, but the problems for our 8-time series champion continued in this final race. But it didn't matter in the point standings as he has already wrapped that up. Then our most recent caution, Justin Allgaier, Blake Bjorklund, have brought out the 8th caution of the day. That came out at lap 199. Again, we've run about 8 laps of caution as we're sitting right on the track with some of the latest technology. We just got ran over actually by a few cars. These cameras in the racetrack. That one in turn number 1 looking back toward the grandstand and the start-finish line. This one's in the middle of the backstretch, looking back to turn number 2. Again, Steve Wallace out in front of Craig Kinzer, Justin Marks, Bobby Santos, Ryan Foster, Michael McDowell, Dexter Bean. Those are your top 7, and they are all on the lead lap. And Dexter Bean currently again on pit road and had extensive damage to the front of that car, Don.
Yeah, boy, was I wrong. I said they were done working on it. They have been down pit road 5 times. They put new sheet metal in the front of that car and taped it with, we'll call it 140-mile-an-hour tape here at Iowa Speedway. But that crew gets a nod from me for sure. 5 pit stops during this last caution to keep Dexter Bean on the lead lap. Great job.
And if they want to, they could come in for a 6th time because the safety crews are still working on the area that both Justin Allgaier and Blake Bjorklund got into the wall in turns 1 and 2. There's that tape Don was talking about. Using a lot of it.
Yep, they usually make a big Band-Aid. Sometimes they'll get a guy to turn around and actually just keep putting strips of duct tape on his back to make it some 2 and 3 foot long. Then after they get done making that tape Band-Aid, they'll pull it off your back and take that whole piece and lay it on. There you see them making a Band-Aid. You see them making strips. They make them strips longer and longer and overlap them, try to make a big a Band-Aid as they can. They'll lay it right on the race car.
Dan, they would put tape on your back and it would say "kick me."
Yeah,
that's what they did
before.
when they put tape on your back.
My rookie stripe.
Exactly.
That's right. And then they want me to turn around and tape my mouth closed. That doesn't work well.
Well, you see the damage that has taken place there to that number 6. That Chevrolet has seen better days, but on a short track to be on the lead lap, 7th place, and make as many stops as they have, that's a pretty impressive day.
Yes, it is. You see he holds the big Band-Aid there, waiting for his car to come down pit road. So important, though, it's as important to get the car clean. You got to take brake clean on a rag, which they did before they applied this tape here, and wipe the oil off the car, because if you put that tape right over that oil, it'll slide right off in a couple laps.
Stop number 6 for Dexter Bean under this most recent caution. Done.
Yeah, gotta hand it to these guys. These are really, really hustling down here. This thing had a hole in the front end of it, and they basically, in 6 stops with sheet metal and duct tape, have rebuilt the front of the 5-star Telecom Chevrolet and have kept Dexter Bean on the lead lap. Great job from these guys down here on pit road.
See, they got it applied, get all them holes sealed up, make that air, force that air over the car, leave no holes in there so that it goes over the hood of the race car, pushes down on the car, and makes downforce.
All the drivers that have been involved in our most recent cautions have been to the Infield Care Center and checked out and released. That's Brian Silas, the number 11, the 40 of Troy Wengren, the 16 of Justin Allgaier, and the 32 of Blake Bjorklund. All those drivers involved in our most recent 2 cautions.
Good news for them guys.
Ryan Foster in the number 47 started this race in 4th, currently running 5th after we've completed 210 of the 250 laps.
Ryan, Dan Partis, Rick Allen in the speed booth. You copy? Hey, buddy, looks like you've had an up and down year, but I think it's been a tremendous victory for you to come in this ARCA Re Series and run so well and fight for that Rookie of the Year battle. How's your car out there?
It's real good. It's a little tight. You know, it's been a real good year for us.
Yeah, what's it like to work with Frank Kimmel, a champion of himself, to work with you week in and week out and tune you in all these tracks?
Oh, it's awesome. Frank's, you know, a nice guy. All those guys on the Kimmel team, you know, they're just really good guys.
Roger, well, you've been doing a fine job and disciplining yourself at these racetracks. So how do you like this track?
It's real nice. You know, there's not any other track really like it. You know, so far it's a real fun track.
All right, buddy. Good job, and keep your head on. We'll see you after the race. Good luck to you.
All right, thanks.
Ryan Foster currently 2nd in the Rookie of the Year points battle. Could take it over because Blake Bjorklund off the racetrack now and could be dropping positions. Steve Wallace out in front in Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa, with the ARCA Re-Max Iowa 250, the final race of the season. And the championship has been decided. Frank Kimmel has claimed his 8th series championship. Now it's a matter of who will win the first race in Iowa. The man out in front is Steve Wallace. He's probably the best bet right now as we have just 37 laps remaining. Don Radebach.
Well, Rick, good chance the winner at Iowa will be a rookie. I just happened to look up at the leaderboard, and I can't help but notice 9 of the top 10 machines right now at Iowa Speedway are rookies. The only veteran in the top 10 right now is Billy Venturini. For more, here's Wendy.
Now, the holiday season is approaching. It's nice for me to talk good about my brother now. Isn't that how it works? Billy Venturini running 10th right now. When you look at the points for Billy the last few seasons, he has finished 6th in points, 5th, 4th, broke his neck in Daytona last year, came back and will finish 3rd in the points this year consecutively, so he's moved up 1 spot. Now, I know he's looking forward to that point fun check at the end of the season, but more importantly, Billy has bigger plans in this off season. He's getting married to his fiancée, Jenny Mix. Now, Billy graciously has scheduled that wedding around my race season, and the Monday after Homestead, the Venturinis are headed to Antigua, a family vacation, and a reality show waiting to happen, isn't it, guys?
Oh, it's definitely a reality show. I bet you live that reality show every day, Wendy. Every day. Well, it's exciting for Billy Venturini, and I've done the math, and in 2008, Billy Venturini will be the ARCA Re Series champion.
Well, he ought to be there because at this rate, this has been a pretty good year for him, not the year that he wanted. He will continue to excel and be the champion in 08. That's what we got to wish for if you're Billy Venturini.
Well, I bet he'd want to win it in 07, but the numbers don't work out that way because he only moves up 1 position each year. So in 07, he'll be 2nd, and then 08, he will win his first championship in the ARCA Re Series. And the pace car will make his way on to pit road. The green flag flies. We're back underway in Iowa. 34 laps of racing remaining.
Even able to get that big hole shot on the restarts.
You know, like I actually saw a little smoke. It could have been some of the speedy driving. It looked like smoke coming out of the 36 as he went through 1 and 2. You see all the rubber flying from our track cameras, the tread cams on the racing surface. But Steve Wallace has put almost a second between himself and Craig Kinzer in 1 lap.
Yep, and the only complaint that drivers have had here in the past few days is it takes 2 to 3 laps to get these tires to really work. It seems like that first lap, they cool down and they just don't get good bite in the racetrack. It takes 2 to 3 laps, and that's possibly what we've seen there. We've seen a few of these cars wobbling around a little bit. Just takes a few laps to get some heat in.
Craig Kinzer, Justin Marks, those 2 nose to tail. That's for the 2nd position. Marks trying to stay within shouting distance of that 36. In between him, a lapped car, the 04.
What a tremendous shot there. Look at that rubber, Rick, just flying off the racetrack. Again, because we were under caution for so long, we've laid a lot of that rubber down, pieces of that rubber laid in the middle of the racetrack, and it'll take it about 5 or 10 laps for it to get moved up on the top side group.
Get Craig Kinzer in just his 3rd start in the ARCA Re Series, currently running in 2nd. Justin Marks is 3rd. 4th, a good battle here now. Ryan Foster trying to get by Bobby Santos. Maybe that little talk you had with him, Dan, has paid off as Ryan Foster's taken the 4th position away from Bobby Santos. Bobby Santos drops back to 5th, and Michael McDowell in 6th.
Yeah, Bobby didn't give him a whole lot of room there. He pinched him down right to the bottom of the racetrack, but 47 car Ryan Foster already had a run, and he was able to get back into gas, so he was able to get by him safely there, but it looked like he tightened it up on him.
Again, Frank Kimmel off of the racetrack because of engine problems, but he's probably got his eye on the racetrack for his number 47 car. That is a Frank Kimmel-owned race car that Ryan Foster is driving, currently in 4th position.
I would have to say Frank Kimmel is on the radio right now, on the trailer of the transporter, talking as Ryan Foster through the racetrack.
Steve Wallace just over a second between himself and Craig Kinzer out in front of this field. Again, 7 cars on the lead lap. 7th is Dexter Bean. And all of the troubles and the work that that team has had to do to get that car in racing condition. After this most recent caution, they did a lot of work to the front end to try to keep the temperature down, open up some airways to that radiator.
Foster able to drive the car right to the bottom. The car is feeling good. He's feeling good as a driver. Started 4th, currently running 4th, so he would have to be really excited about a top 5 finish here today.
Yeah, and a long season coming to a close, Dan. I mean, this is the 23rd race. They started way back at the beginning of February. We're into the middle of October, and Ryan Foster competing very strong. We've seen some great performances out of this young man. His best was 6th. Excuse me, his best was 3rd at Michigan earlier this year. And he would look to improve on that if he could get by Justin Marks and Craig Kinzer. And he looks like he's got a strong enough car to do it.
Yeah, it does. And he's confident now. And, you know, as the year progressed, talking to Ryan, he was a little unsure of himself in the beginning of the year. Not sure about these big cars. Not sure that he could run with guys like Frank Kimmel, Bobby Gearhart, past champions in this series. Guys that have been around a long time, guys with lots of experience. But after 3 or 4 races, he fit right in. And he's calmed down. He's matured a lot. Going into the 2007 season, I think you're going to see a real strong Ryan Foster in 07.
His first car a lap down, the 50 of Chase Pistone.
Talked earlier a little bit about him. He is the grandson of Tiger Tom, is that right?
That's right. Grandson of Tiger Tom Pistone, and I think having a pretty good performance here today. Currently in the 8th position. He's the first car 1 lap down.
Those of you who don't know Tiger Tom, he raced in the NASCAR ranks, and his name fits him well. He is a Tiger. Wild man to be around, a lot of fun. Chase raced legend cars, bandoleros, and different sorts of vehicles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Been around a long time, and he's worked his way up through the ranks. Don, what you got down there on pit row?
Well, Chase having a good run for sure. He's in a Bobby Jones Dodge. Good car for sure. We talked about Bobby Santos being one of the drivers who has previous experience here. The other would be Chase Pistone, who ran in the Pro Cup race here not too long ago. So he is quite familiar with Iowa Speedway, and I think that's paying off here today. Great job by Chase Pistone in his career first ARCA Re-Max Series start.
Anytime a driver can come back to a track that he's already driven on, it just gives you that much more of a confidence boost builder, especially in qualifying and through the course of the day, compared to drivers that's never been there. It's always a big boost to go to a track you've been to before.
One of the things about Iowa Speedway is that it is new. I mean, this is the first year for racing at this racetrack. We see some smoke coming out of the back of the number 90 of Brett Rowe. He receives the black flag, so Brett Rowe will have to make his way onto pit road to figure out what's going on with that car.
Brett Rowe, a competitor in the ARCA Truck Series in the past, champion in 2005. Best career finish, 2nd at DeCoin this season.
Running for Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
This series was 5th coming into this race.
Owns and runs a family mattress company in the West Virginia area. Battle for 5th right here. Michael McDowell, he's been kind of back and forth, and he's been just outside that top 5.
2 in the 0-2. Battling 4th position. Bobby Santos in the 0-2 has the 5th position. Michael McDowell in the 2 trying to take it away as we're winding down. Steve Wallace goes across the start-finish line. 19 laps of racing to go. Problems with Jason Hedleski. He gets spun around, and the caution will come out once again. This is the 9th caution of the day. Jason Hedleski bringing this one out.
Gets turned around there on the bottom side, is able to stop it. Another tribute to this racetrack. When you get loose here a little bit, plenty of runoff room, you're able to get the car stopped. A lot of grip in the racetrack. You can see when them cars get turned sideways, they really dig in and stop. So that's another good factor. Going to a racetrack and know that it's not a track that you get, if you do get wrecked, at least you can try and save it as a driver. 1 top 5 finish this year, finished 8th at Nashville, Jason has. Jason used to work at the Junie Dunleavy race shop. That's kind of how he got his racing career started.
There's a quick glimpse at what took place with Jason Hedleski. See him spinning there.
He's down on the apron. Kind of not sure if, you know, he got turned and went down on the apron earlier, unless he was coming down pit row and just got a little loose. Sometimes you carry a little too much speed there on that flat and it'll turn around on you. There's a little damage to the right front of the car. Not sure if it got in the back of somebody. Could have been from an earlier altercation.
And really, if we look at most of the cars on this racetrack, for short track racing, a lot of them are in good condition.
Yes, they are. And again, that's tribute to the racetrack, forgiving 2 and 3 grooves too. So that's a big difference.
Ryan Foster has brought his number 47 machine onto pit road. Wendy.
Ryan Foster is back on pit road, 4 tires, and they're going to tape him back up to try and get some more speed out of the machine. He was running 3rd at the time, I believe, but not a whole lot of cars on the lead lap, so Ryan Foster just going for broke, and he could be going for Rookie of the Year as well.
And Wendy, you're right, there's like 7 cars on the lead lap at this point, so if you're back there running 5th and 6th and you can come in, take some tires, make some adjustments to the car and advance a few positions, I think it would be time to do it.
Almost Frank Kimmel-esque what Ryan Foster is doing. One of the things, and I don't want to tell that team, but I believe Blake Bjorklund's going to be scored in the 28th position. And because of the way Rookie of the Year points are scored, you take your top 15 finishes and you get to add those points for Rookie of the Year. And I'm not so sure that Ryan Foster can catch him now because of where Blake Bjorklund has finished and the rest of the rookies are running. I believe this may be a moot point for Ryan Foster as far as Rookie of the Year, but obviously Ryan Foster would love to get up there and contend for better positions than what he has run this year. So coming in and taping off was a good idea.
Yes, it was. Again, he's being scored in 7th position, so, you know, if he's made a change in that car and he's made it 2/10 quicker, he could get up there in the top 3 these last 15 laps.
Field spread out already again. Juan Pablo Montoya, again, problems early on in this race. 19th lap, he was leading. He and Steve Wallace got into each other coming off of turn 4. You see the damage to the right of that car. He was into the wall and behind the pit road wall for quite some time to do some extensive work to that car to get it back to a condition that he could probably get a good feel and learn about these stock cars instead of going out there with a broken down car and just limping around the track.
Yep, and the more laps that Juan Montoya can get at any racetrack, any mile, mile and a half, you know, 3/4 mile, even half mile, is going to be big experience for him in these heavy stock cars. So they know that. The Chip Ganassi team knows that, and that's what they're doing here right now, is getting him some laps, get him some experience, and again, we can't say enough about communication with the team. That's exactly what they're gaining here.
Yeah, seat time is critical, and that's exactly what Juan Pablo Montoya is getting right now. He's getting seat time, this time at a short track. A week ago, it was Talladega Super Speedway. This week, it's the Iowa Speedway. Closing in on 10 laps to go, Steve Kinzer leading this, or excuse me, Steve Wallace leading Craig Kinzer around this 7/8 mile facility. Steve Wallace working his way through 3 and 4 as he crosses the start-finish line. 11 laps of racing to go before Steve Wallace potentially will see that checkered flag. He's got a little over a second between himself and Kinzer now. And such a dominant performance again by this race car.
Yep, and again, it's just been so good. He's able to drive low and high. You know, as a race car driver, we can't ask for any better. Although I've been watching the clock, Rick, Kinzer has actually picked up that last lap 0.2 of a second to sprint, and he just picked up another 10th. So Craig Kinzer right now is faster than Stephen Wallace.
Craig Kinzer coming on. And as we close in on the finish of this race with 10 laps of racing to go, is it enough time for Craig Kinzer to catch Steve Wallace?
Well, Kinzer knows that. He's got to get up on the wheel. He's got to give it everything he's got. When he gets down in the center of the corner, he's got to get in the gas. If he has to muscle the car as he corner exit, he knows what he has to do. So now's the time to get up on the wheel with 10 to go.
That time by, there was no change. It's still 1 second that separated Craig Kinzer from Steve Wallace. It's about 20 car lengths between the two as they work their way through 3 and 4 now. Craig Kinzer trying to claim his second win in the ARCA Re Series. We have a battle for the 5th position. Bobby Santos in the 02, Ryan Foster in the 47. Here comes Foster on the inside. He'll try to take the position away.
Yep, he's on brand new tires. He knows he can be faster. He made some adjustments to the car. Obviously, he's made them better. Now's the time to go. With 8 laps to go, if he's got to get up there in that top 3, he's got to do it right now.
Ryan Foster up to the 5th position now as he's gotten by Bobby Santos. Taking that position away, Michael McDowell is in front of Ryan Foster now for 4th. And McDowell 0.6 of a second in front of Ryan Foster.
Craig Kinzer able to pick up another 1/10 of a second that lap, Rick. As long as they stay out of traffic, he is catching them. But I tell you, traffic is playing a big factor here, so these guys have to work traffic to their benefit. Picked up another 10th that lap.
Time is running out. Just 0.7 of a second separating Craig Kinzer from Steve Wallace. Wallace looks as though he's slowing down a bit. It could be that tire issue that he talked about earlier. They had a blistering problem with the tires, and they've run a lot of laps on this set.
Yep, and what happens is we put a lot of camber in these cars, so again, it wears that tire out. Here's a battle for fourth. Michael McDowell, Ryan Foster. Foster marching to the front.
Michael McDowell, the number 2. Ryan Foster in the 47. McDowell trying to hold off Ryan Foster, as is Steve Wallace trying to hold off Craig Kinzer.
Now just a half a second split between these two cars. Craig Kinzer's got to hit his mark. Stephen Wallace has to pick through traffic graciously.
This time by 0.4 of a second. He's gaining 1/10 of a second each lap. That would put them dead even as they cross the start-finish line with only 4 laps of racing to go.
Kinzer has to follow him. He has to get through his track. Stephen Wallace having a little trouble in the center of the corner there. See, he has to run a little bit higher as you see the car shoves the nose. Craig Kinzer gains big ground there coming off of 4.
Here comes Craig Kinzer. The difference just 0.2 of a second. 3 laps of racing to go. Can Craig Kinzer get up beside the 61 of Steve Wallace?
To catch Steve Wallace is one thing, Rick, but to pass him is another. We know what an aggressive driver Steve Wallace is. I'm sure Rusty Wallace may have a headset on, talking him through it also. Craig Kinzer's looking to the inside.
Kinzer's able to run right down on the yellow line. Steve Wallace is not. As they go by the start-finish line, 2 laps of racing to go. Just over 1/10 of a second separating 1 and 2.
See, Kinzer, he's getting down to the bottom. He's got to pass these cars and get right down to the bottom so he can get that good run. They've been in traffic, not been working to his benefit, but he's got to pick his way through here.
As they work their way through 3 and 4 and about to come out of turn number 4, the white flag will fly. 1 lap of racing to go. Here goes Craig Kinzer to the high side. Now he ducks back down low as they look at 1 and 2. Steve Wallace closes the door on him as they go through 2.
Kinzer look to the bottom. 19,000 people. The crowd is on their feet. This could be it.
Craig Kinzer, 1 corner to go. Can he get by Steve Wallace as they work through 3 and 4? Kinzer goes high. Wallace tries to close the door up high. Kinzer's going to finish second. Wallace wins in Iowa.
What an effort, tremendous effort. Battle for 4th here. Looks like Ryan Foster's looking to the bottom of Michael McDowell. He needs every bit he can get. Doesn't have enough.
Michael McDowell able to hold off Ryan Foster for that 4th position. And coming home in 6th, Bobby Santos. An amazing finish. A great race for 2 young up-and-coming drivers. Steve Wallace, development driver for Rusty Wallace, claims the first win at a Rusty Wallace designed racetrack here in Iowa. Speed's coverage of the ARCA Re-Max Series from Iowa is presented by Re-Max. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. Brought to you in part by SK Tools, the official hand tools of ARCA, and by its Mighty Easy Cleaner Degreaser. Let's go to Victory Lane and Don Radebaugh.
Big-time celebration in Victory Lane at Iowa Speedway. The clash of second-generation racers comes down to the last lap. Steve Wallace, you had to work hard for it. Congratulations, your career 4th ARCA Re-Max Series victory. Was Craig Kinzer's car in the end getting that good, or was yours going away?
Yeah, you know, first of all, Frank, I just want to dedicate this win to my good buddy Charlie Bradbury. You know, he lost his life a week ago, and, you know, we all miss him. But, you know, the Trans-American New South Limit, or the dang Trans-America Hands Group Dodge Charger ran really, really good, and we had a good run, you know. My team.
Was the car going away in the end?
It was. It got really tight. I'm sorry to get lightheaded, but, yeah, the car was really good, and the guys did a good job. And I just like to thank, you know, Trans-American and the Hands Group. You know, they did a good job.
We gonna see you in the ARCA Re-Max Series in 07 at all?
Yeah, you know, we're gonna run Daytona and a couple other races, so we'll see. You'll have to see you guys then. Thank you.
Wendy.
Thanks for Craig Kinzer making that an exciting finish for race fans at home. Your car started to come in at the end, especially those final laps.
Yeah, I mean, I really started pushing it really hard, and the car was there. I couldn't do anything with him on a short run, and I was just really hoping we had like a 30 or 40 lap run there. And, you know, I just pushed it so hard. The last couple laps just to get to him. I didn't have anything left once I got to him. Had a couple runs. I mean, I tried to do it with 2 laps ago was my best shot at him. But, you know, the Skin Clubs and Resorts, Chevy was doing really good. All the guys in MB2, don't hang your head. We had a good car tonight.
All right, Craig Kinzer comes home second here at Iowa Speedway. Guys?
Let's take a look at our full field results for today's race. Steve Wallace claiming his 4th career win, 3rd of the 2006 season. Craig Kinzer with a career best, or actually finished 2nd here. Justin Marks, Michael McDowell, career best finish of 4th. His best coming into this was 5th at Talladega a week ago.
Lots of rookies up in that top 10 like we talked about earlier. Tremendous finish for all them guys. See Ryan Howard, 13th.
Jason Edleski coming home in 23rd. A lot of cars off of the pace early on. One of those, Juan Pablo Montoya. He was 42 laps down, but out there getting experience.
Mario Goslin, tough break for him, finishing 30th. Strong top 5 car all day.
James Hilton. James Hilton was able to get back out onto the racetrack. He finished 37th in his final race in the ARCA Re Series at 72 years young. We go back down to Wendy Venturini.
Justin Marks gets out of the car. His best finish of the season prior to that was 10th at Michigan. You have to be happy with the new machine that you're running for with this new team.
For sure. I mean, everybody at Constructor, everybody at RAB Racing, Scott Tashkin, Robbie Benton, these guys took a chance on me and they gave me a shot when the results probably made a lot of people raise their eyebrows. But, I mean, I feel so happy to be able to give them a good result. Thanks, Constructor, RAB Racing. We'll be back next year and going for a championship. Feel good about it.
What a way to finish the season, coming home 3rd. Rick?
Well, thank you, Wendy. This concludes the 54th season of ARCA Re competition. A record-breaking season it was. 17 different winners in 23 races. Of those 17, we had 12 first-time winners, and the fans saw a great finish to the 2006 season. It started off with Bobby Gerhardt in convincing fashion, winning at Daytona for the 4th time. We saw a lot of rookies and a lot of other drivers getting their first wins in this series. Dan?
Yeah, it has. It's been one exciting year in the ARCA Re-Max Series. A lot of development drivers, a lot of youngsters getting an education in this series, and that's what it's all about.
Great series. We do want to thank Rick Miner, our executive producer, Pete Richards, Greg Kakele, Jeff Manhart, Nikki Shanda, Jen Morrison, and all our technical support folks that have bared through all of the rain or the cold or enjoyed sunshine. Also our camera operators, audio technicians, have all done a spectacular job this season for the ARCA Re-Max Series and Speed. For Don Radebaugh, Wendy Venturini, and Dan Paris, I want to thank you all for joining us on the 2006 season of the ARCA Re-Max Series.